Ladies and gentlemen, it is 7 p.m. Pacific. We've adjusted our clocks. I know that part's a little bit weird, but it is 7 p.m. right now. So, Evelyn, a roll call, please.
Trustee Wells.
Here.
Trustee Lee.
Here.
Trustee King. Vice President Marcus. Here. President Weekly.
Present. All right. Could I please have quiet? There we go, as people get settled in. Glad we got chairs for everyone. Wonderful. Bienvenidos a todos. Welcome, everyone, to the public session for the March 11th, 2026 meeting of the Redwood City School Board. Our interpreter will now give instructions for how to access translation.
Bienvenidos a la reunión de la mesa directiva escolar de Redwood City del 11 de marzo. Si necesita interpretación a español, por favor llame al 978-990-5137 y marque el número 8377041 y el número de gato. Si asiste a la reunión en persona, solicite un transmisor que se encuentra en la parte posterior de la sala. Gracias.
All right, thank you so much. Okay. Just so all participants are aware, at the direction of the board, this meeting is being recorded and will be shared with the public. We generally try to post our meeting videos on YouTube about a day or two after. The board encourages all members of the public to participate and provide comment on issues of concern, regardless of whether or not they're on the agenda. If you're here in person, please fill out a speaker card. You don't have to give your legal name, but if you'd like for us to follow up with you, please consider adding contact information. If you are online with Zoom, you can just raise your hand and we will call on you based on your Zoom name. If you're speaking on a topic that's on the agenda, you will be called at the time that that item is being considered. If it's not on the agenda, we will call on you in the public comment portion near the beginning of our meeting. To be fair to all speakers, comment is limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise noted. You'll see a countdown clock on the front of the podium. So, welcome everybody. Tonight, most of our meeting is going to be spent where school board meetings should be spent, discussing student achievement. We have 3 separate school board reports where we're going to be hearing from Roosevelt, MIT, and Hoover, and engaging with the leadership of each school. As part of each of these presentations, we will also be reviewing and approving each school's school plan for student achievement. We call them SIPSA if you're working with the district. SIPSAs are reports required by the state of California for every public school to document how the district tracks and invests in student growth, develops its staff, and uses quality curriculum and engages parents, students, and school site council. It's the state asking us to assess based on data what's going well and what's not, and what our plans are to improve, especially for student groups that are not hitting our goals for their growth. We're going to pay special attention to the rate at which English learners are reclassifying, which is the term that we use when they graduate into being considered fully proficient in the English language, as well as growth and overall English proficiency for all students. A rigorous, phonics-focused approach to literacy will help us hit our goals around English literacy by the end of 3rd grade. If you're curious about what else we're going to discuss in future board meetings, please check out agenda item number 15, which has a nice PDF on our upcoming schedule of board agenda items and topics. And as a reminder, if you'd like to have something on the agenda for us to discuss, you'll need to get that request to the board president, that's me, and the superintendent at least 10 days in advance of the board meeting. Dr. Bacon and I will confer and decide on when or if to place it on the agenda. And of course, feel free to write us your thoughts at any time to any of us. Feel free to write to us in Spanish. AI has gotten very good at translation for those of us that don't have that as our primary language. Do we have a student-led Pledge of Allegiance tonight? No. Oh, all right. So maybe next meeting. With that, let's go to changes to the agenda. Anyone like to propose any changes to the agenda? Okay. Would anyone like to move that we approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, so now we will move on to public comment. I do see some cards. We're going to do in the room first, and then I will check online. I'm going to count the number of speaker cards. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards. How much time would board members like to give to each speaker for 8 speakers? And
so our policy is, I think for our 0 to 10 is 3 minutes.
Yep.
10 to 20 is 2, and then 1 minute after that.
Okay,
like
so we'll give each speaker a full 3 minutes. Okay, great. All right then. So in proper order, we will first call to the podium Christy Herrera. Oh, you have to turn on the mic. There you go. Button on the right. There you go. Perfect.
Great.
You're all
Good evening, members of the board, John, Anna. My name is Christy Herrera, and I've been teaching kindergarten at Hoover for 23 of my 24 years in Redwood City. I'm here tonight to speak about the impact of large class sizes and the increase of students with special needs in kindergarten. Kindergarten is where children are learning how to function in a school community. They're learning how to regulate emotions, communicate needs, solve problems, and build foundational skills that support all future learning. For many students with any type of developmental delay, language needs, or behavioral challenges, kindergarten is also their first opportunity to receive meaningful support and early intervention. But when classrooms become too large, critical moments are missed. A child who needs help may have to wait longer. Just recently, I was helping one student regulate their emotions, and another student who needed help with reading had to wait. A student learning to communicate may not receive the language modeling they need. In kindergarten, these moments matter. Students who are ready for more rigorous academic work often work independently because teachers must triage rather than fully support every learner. This impacts every classroom learner. When teachers are stretched beyond reasonable limits, opportunities for meaningful interaction and responsive instruction decrease. In my 24 years teaching kindergarten, aside from the COVID years, this year has been the most challenging and emotionally draining of my entire career. This year, my classroom composition includes 27 students, 33% of them with IEPs, 63% are multilingual learners, 37% have elevated behavioral needs. With a class size of 27 and this level of need, it becomes extremely difficult to provide the individualized support that many kindergarten students require. Our youngest learners cannot advocate for themselves. They rely on the adults in the system, and that's all of us, to create classrooms where they feel safe, supported, and loved. My recent master's research in social emotional learning shows that students must feel safe and supported in order to learn, and classrooms that are too large make that much harder to achieve. I know that this board cares deeply about creating effective learning environments. If we want strong outcomes for all of our students, our kindergarten classrooms must be structured in ways that support both healthy learning environments for children and sustainable working conditions for the educators. 5-year-olds deserve classrooms designed for learning, not just filled to capacity. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Sandy Hoover.
Hi, good evening. Most of you don't know me. I'm a retired Redwood City school teacher, and for 20 plus years, most of which was in kindergarten and TK. And for those of you who don't know me, I appear right here on one of your district brochures. I'm here to speak about two very important issues. One is large kindergarten class size. The second one is the slow timeline for identifying and assessing students with special needs. These issues are not isolated to one classroom or one school. They affect every school in this district. A typical classroom includes students with different learning needs and emotional needs, students who are second language learners, and students with developmental delays. These children deserve patience, individualized attention, and consistent guidance. But when you create a large classroom, it's impossible to meet the needs of every student in that classroom. Early identification and intervention are essential in kindergarten because the sooner we understand a student's needs, the better we are at providing the services so that child can be successful in school. However, when too many students require assistance and are concentrated in one classroom, teachers are forced to shift from teaching to managing those urgent needs. I also want to address the timeline for identifying and assessing students who may have special needs. Teachers are often the very first to recognize a child who is struggling, yet the path to assessment and support can take months. And during this time, the students may miss out on critical early interventions, and teachers must manage significant behaviors without additional resources. And the entire classroom environment is impacted by this. I urge the board to closely examine kindergarten class size and the assessment timelines. These decisions shape the learning environments where our youngest students begin their educational journey. If we truly believe in equity and strong outcomes from all of our students, then we must ensure our kindergarten classrooms are structured in ways that allow both the students and the teachers to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have former President Aaron Washburn.
Good evening. Hello, everybody. My name is Aaron Washburn. I'm a music teacher in the Redwood City School District, and I'm also the current Redwood City Teachers Association membership chair. And tonight I'm here to just put it on the public record that the Redwood City Teachers Association unanimously voted in support to endorse the Redwood City School District parcel tax. I want to thank the community organizers, Jessica Shade, Ben Packer, Carlo Contavalli, and others who put this language together. It's beautiful language. We love it that it's equitably taxed to property owners at 17.5 cents per square foot, so that if you have a big giant building, you pay a lot more than someone in a little bitty house. So it's everybody pays their fair share. We love it that this bill or this tax is going to bring $12.2 million into our schools annually. And we also love it that it's split between the district office and sites, so that the district office can hire more teachers, more educators, and also increase salaries for our educators, which is great. And we like that it goes to school sites as well, so that they can have the programs that they need individually. It's just, like I said, it's just really beautiful language, beautifully crafted. And I just wanted to come up here tonight and let you know that our CTA, the Redwood City Teachers Association, is committed to helping get out the vote. We'll be walking, we'll be knocking, because that's the most important thing, because it's coming up in June, right? The vote is right around the corner.
That's right.
And we're in full support. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Next to the stand, Thomas Rogerson.
Good evening. My name is Thomas Rogerson, and I have children at both Henry Ford and North Star Academy. I want to start with what the research says is most consistent on. What matters most to student achievement is the quality of teaching. Strong teachers who give clear instruction, provide meaningful feedback, and build relationships with students and parents. We are lucky enough to have experienced this directly with many of my children's teachers, including Miss Bastard, my daughter's current kindergarten teacher. Recruiting and keeping such extraordinary teachers should be front and center in how this board thinks about investing in schools. Now, I'm aware the research is less clear-cut on whether reducing class sizes in the range we're currently operating directly impacts students' achievement. But it is hard to refute what I see with my own eyes. Some classes are physically at capacity. And what teachers tell me, that it is near impossible to implement best teaching practices in such an environment. If class sizes were to revert to the higher levels we had previously and become the largest in the area, there will be further degradation to student equity and teacher retention. First, equity. Not all classrooms are the same, even when the student count is the same. A class of 31 at a school of choice where students have tested in is a very different teaching job than a class of 31 with English learners, mixed achievement levels, and split grade configuration. If across the board class size reductions aren't feasible, I'd urge the board to consider how to better support teachers in these more demanding settings through more paid resource specialists, prep time to support students, and better stipends to attract our best teachers into those classrooms. Second, retention. Class size is one of the working conditions that determines which teachers we keep and which ones walk to neighbouring districts. If we lose experienced teachers and replace them with less experienced hires, we lose exactly what matters most. Furthermore, Henry Ford's final numbers are often in flux due to the school of choice system. That makes it hard to plan, hard to staff, and hard to retain teachers who aren't sure they'll have a position next year. That uncertainty falls hardest on some of the schools already serving the most diverse populations. Class size isn't just a singular number to negotiate that applies district-wide. The board needs to take into account its effects on teachers' working conditions and retention, while acknowledging that heterogeneous classroom settings are harder to teach. Those teachers and their
Thank you
students
so much for
deserve
your
better
comment.
support.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next up, Araceli Flores Mendoza.
I'm short. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Araceli Flores Mendoza, and I am a second-year education specialist at Hoover Community School. As a Hoover alumna, can you hear me? Serving my community to the best of my abilities is something I deeply value and always strive to do. Over the past 2 years, I have consistently been very close to or at full capacity with my caseload. As caseload numbers grow, it becomes more challenging to provide the level of individualized support students with IEPs need and deserve. Due to this issue, it limits the amount of individualized instruction and progress monitoring we are able to provide, which ultimately impacts student growth. As case managers, we are responsible for many compliance tasks, such as monitoring students' progress, writing their IEPs, coordinating meetings, and small group instruction, not to mention collaborating with families and staff. With minimal aid support, it becomes extremely difficult to complete all of these responsibilities to the best of our abilities within our contracted work hours. This often leads to working late evenings or weekends to ensure that our students receive the support that they need and to ensure that we remain in compliance. Currently, we have one aide for 3 full-time resource teachers, each serving between 25 to 27 students. The level of support makes it challenging to meet the needs for all students effectively. I respectfully ask that you continue to support our Hoover resource teachers by providing 2 aides for the next school year. As a new teacher, I worry that the increased workload contributes to the high turnover rate we see in special education. Our students deserve consistency and educators who can dedicate the time and attention they need to succeed. My students are the reason I continue to do this work. And with the right supports in place, I continue to serve them and my community in the best way possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Ann Brill-Jaffa.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I too am here to talk about class size. I want to talk about the importance of maintaining a kindergarten class size as small as possible. When I first began teaching kindergarten in the district in the early 1990s, I was responsible for 31 4- and 5-year-olds. And at that time, that was considered normal. And many of us were able to manage marginally at times. But the reality is that the expectations, the paperwork, and the needs of students and families were very different than they are today. Today's children are coming to school with very different early experiences. Many have much more access to screens, less face-to-face interactions with peers, smaller vocabularies, and fewer opportunities to develop self-regulation skills prior to entering the elementary school system. Teachers are not only responsible for academics, as we know, but also responsible for helping children learn the basic social and emotional skills needed to function in a classroom community. This is extremely difficult to do in classrooms with high student populations. Excuse me. In these large class sizes, teachers have less time for individual students, family interactions, and differentiated instruction. If we look at the data from our current TK classrooms, we can see what is coming next into next year's kindergarten classrooms. Across our 17 general ed TK classrooms, I'm going to do some data here for you because I know you guys like data. Approximately 10% of our students, of our 320 students, have IEPs. And with this requires additional meetings, documentation, data collection, and time out of the classroom for the teachers to attend meetings. Approximately 6% of our students, in addition to those with IEPs, are in the SST. There are SSTs initiated for the concerns ranging from speech to behavior to health and family issues. 11% of our students also have difficult behavior and self-regulation challenges that require constant monitoring, documentation, and communication with families and administration. All of these students will be entering kindergarten next year, along with students who are new to the district. And unlike TK, kindergarten classrooms do not have instructional assistants to support these needs. Class size directly impacts quality of attention, support, and instruction for each child. Kindergarten, as with TK, is the foundation of a child's early learning journey. Research consistently shows that students who are not reading at grade level by third grade are far less likely to catch up later. The support they receive in their earliest school years makes an enormous difference. So I ask that
Thank
you
you.
please consider, okay, you know the rest. Send it to us.
Thank you. Próximo, Lisbeth Estrada.
Aquí. Oh, ya está, aquí. Muy buenas noches, miembros de la mesa directiva y superintendente, doctor Baker. Nuestros nombres son, mi nombre es Lisbeth Estrada y mi esposo Jesús Ponce, padres de 2 niños de segundo y tercer grado, orgullosos miembros de la escuela Hoover. Estamos aquí para reconocer los avances logrados y sobre todo para hablarles de las herramientas que nuestra comunidad aún necesita para prosperar con equidad. Primero, gracias por el nuevo gimnasio, por la climatización y por los 13 pilares de apoyo de ELCA que hoy sostienen a Hoover. Ver intervención de lectura, salud mental y música en nuestra escuela nos demuestra que el distrito cree en nuestros hijos. Sin embargo, para que estas inversiones den frutos reales, necesitamos el equipo completo desde el primer día que un niño pisa el plantel. Como padres comprometidos, les pedimos que el próximo presupuesto priorice 3 puntos vitales. El puente del preescolar y TK. Actualmente, el programa de solo 3 horas es un obstáculo insuperable para una familia que trabaja. Es imposible dejar un niño y recogerlo en un intervalo tan corto. Esto obliga a muchos padres a dejar a sus hijos en casa o con cuidadores, perdiendo una etapa crucial de la preparación. El resultado es doloroso. Nuestros niños llegan al kinder con una desventaja académica que arrastran por años. Necesitamos horarios extendidos y la expansión, de TK en Hoover. Un solo salón no es suficiente. El éxito de un niño no debería depender de si alcanzó cupo en una lista de espera. El factor humano en kinder y primero, la atención personalizada es el motor del cambio. Nuestro propio hijo sufría ansiedad y se bloqueaba, ante las matemáticas. Gracias al apoyo de un asistente, hoy los números son su materia favorita y tiene seguridad para expresarse frente a todos. Pedimos asistentes para kinder y primer grado. Este apoyo humano es lo que transforma el miedo en confianza académica. Continuidad pedagógica. Solicitamos el apoyo constante de maestros invitados. Nuestros docentes necesitan...
Gracias, Lisbeth.
Ok. Oh, perdón.
Here comes the English translation. Good evening, members of the board and Superintendent Baker. Our names are Lisbeth Estrada and Jesus Ponce, parents of two kids of second and third grade, proud members of Hoover School. We are here to recognize the big advantages and more than anything to speak about the tools that our community still needs to make progress in an equitable place. First, thank you. Thank you for the new gym, for the air conditioning, for the 13 pillars of support of the LCAP that today sustain Hoover. The early intervention, mental health, music, and our school shows that the district do care and take care of our kids. However, all these investments for those to make real, to give real fruit, to give real results, we need equipment, complete equipment from day one, so that a kid can benefit from day one when they step on a site. As parents committed, we ask that the next time you prioritize three vital points for number one, the bridge between pre-K and TK. Currently, the program only has 3 hours, and that's a very big obstacle. For a family that works, it's impossible to leave a kid and pick it up in a short interval of time. This makes a lot of parents, forces them to leave their kids at home, taking care of them, sometimes losing a crucial moment for preparation. The result is painful. Our kids come to kinder with a big academic disadvantage that they drag for years. We need extended schedules and expansion of TK to Hoover. One classroom is not enough. The success of a kid should not depend on a waiting list that make it or not, if he had made the waiting list or not. The second pillar is the human factor in K1. Personalized attention is the engine of change. Our own kid was suffering anxiety. He was blocked with math. Thankfully given to the support that he has received, numbers are his favorite subject today. He has the security and the self-awareness to express in front of everyone. We request assistance for kinder and first grade. That human support is what transforms fear into academical trust. The third pillar is pedagogy continuity. We request support for our guest teachers. Our teachers do need training so their kids cannot pay the price for the quality of time in the classroom. To finalize, we invite you formally to visit Hoover School. Come take a look at TK Classroom, take a look with your own eyes to our students, and take a look at the reality in our classrooms. As parents, we're trusting you with our dreams in your hands. We know that behind every single data and budget, there is a face, a history, and a future that depends upon you. Thank you. Thank you for the translation. Next up, Heather McCormick.
Hello, my name is Heather McCormick. This is my first school board meeting. And I am here to also speak about class sizes from the perspective of having a third grader with a class size of 32 kids. it's a big class. So my daughter is a third grader at Henry Ford. She's been there since kindergarten. We love the school. We love the teachers. It's a great class of kids. I also volunteer with Project Cornerstone and Art in Action. And what I find with the large class size is that it's a really full, like physically full class. There's a lot of things that we'd like to do that we're supposed to do according to the curriculum, like everybody get in a circle. Where is there room for that? Everybody, sit with the kids on the carpet. No, we don't have that space in this classroom. So what I see is that it's a big struggle to learn. And I think a lot of times that the emphasis ends up being on classroom management than on learning. And I think that some kids are left behind, and some kids who are doing really well don't get the attention they need to do new things. And unfortunately, what I'm seeing is I know at least one classmate of my daughter's who's leaving, and I've heard other people thinking about it. So we haven't thought of leaving, but I would like to see things being different next year for the third grade and also for my daughter when she progresses to the fourth grade. So that's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Agustin Espino.
Good evening. My name is Agustin Espino, and I have my daughter, Kennedy. First, I came over here just to witness the meeting, but after I heard teachers speaking out at TK and the parents, it reminded me the same thing we've been talking to some of you, what the parents, the community been asking, hey, the classrooms are too big. It's not going to be manageable. We need to take a moment and see what can be done and how can we fix that, because as also we hear over here, some of the kids have been left behind. Having said that, I also want to mention after I saw the draft for the partial tax, I start active in talking to people, to parents, go to the Fair Oaks council meetings. I talk to the people at when I go and have a haircut, and then start getting involved with people mentioning how that is going to benefit the community, our kids. A lot of parents are hesitating because they want to ensure accountability. So what we say is it's going to start a new superintendent, Dr. Ruakawa, and then so we need to work with him. We need to support it and be witness the difference. And then also we talk to the parents that this is going to be for 8 years. Is it enough chance for the district to make a difference to the Latino community? Because this is something I've been repeating myself over and over. But for me as a Latino myself, it's frustrating to see how difficult it is for them and see the results. It's not easy. It's a hard task. And then hearing how big the classes are. So I'm hoping now that partial tax would pass, then that we can see a difference, and then that we are gonna try to do and keep all accountable for that, to make that difference. Because in 8 years, if I'm hoping that will pass, and then the education is gonna show the results. And then, so in 8 years, when the district say, hey, we need to extend this so that the result is there, so they can be easy to extend that. Otherwise, it's going to be harder to promise 68% Latinos of this area, to tell them, hey, I need more money, while your education of your kids is very low. Thank you.
Thank you, Augustine. I see 2 hands up online.
Online public comment cards as well.
Also, okay.
One of them has their hand up.
Got it.
Yeah.
So Venn diagram. We've got 3 people online who want to speak, all on this topic. Yeah, sorry, in public comment. Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. So I will. Looks like everyone is queued. Wonderful. So top of the queue, let's invite Lilia Amalia Valdez Monet.
Do we want to call the people that submitted the speaker cards first?
Sure, we can do that.
Or
Yeah. Yeah.
not all of them have their hand up.
Okay. So
Yeah.
the Venn diagram has gotten even larger. Okay, exciting. All right. So let's call up Pam Barrage. Pam online? Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you, Pam.
Good evening, Dr. Baker, Dr. Rubicala, cabinet members, and school board. Thank you for giving me the time to speak this evening. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Pam Barish. For the past 36 years, I have taught kindergarten and only kindergarten. The last 23 years in room 1 at Henry Ford School. I love what I do and would not still be doing it if I did not believe in the importance my job plays in the lives of so many, setting a foundation and instilling a love of learning that I still hear about from former students today. I am sharing these details with you as I only come to you to express my opinions when I feel strongly about them. I have seen it all in kindergarten over the years, from short day, AM, PM with an aide, to extended day. From 36 students in my class, that got me on news stations all over the Bay Area complaining about it, to those magical years of 20 to 1 when we could really teach. I remember the days of joyful and developmental-based learning to my current experiences, spending countless hours one-on-one administering non-developmentally appropriate online assessments. I remember when my students went home at the end of the day and got to be kids, not staying at after-school programs until 5 or even 6 p.m. because their families are working to live in this expensive area we call home. When I started my teaching career, we did not have buzzwords in our vocabulary such as PLC, CCSS, SST, ADHD, ASD, Zoom, Google, Clever, or Internet for that matter. At times, I may have had more students in my class, but the baggage and needs of those students was not what I deal with today. I will be finishing my career in Redwood City School District next year. 26-27 will be the end of an era for Mrs. B. The very last thing I want is to be in a classroom with 30 students where I will not be focusing on teaching or their individual academic and social needs or even the simple joys of being a kindergarten teacher. I will be conducting a master class in crowd control. I want to be proud of RCSD in my final year and say we are doing everything for the students and the teachers who teach them. I do not want to have the label on my back of being the only school district in San Mateo County with a class size of 30 to 1 in kindergarten. Please, do the right thing for our youngest learners and those of us who teach them, and make sure class size is addressed and thought out for what is best for all, not what looks good on paper. Effective, joyful, and personalized learning to meet the needs of students today cannot and will not happen with 30 kids in a kindergarten classroom. 36 years has taught me that. Please do what is right for all stakeholders. Thank you.
And now, next up is Lilia Amalia Valdez Monet.
Hello. Good. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Baker, and everyone here tonight. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Lilia Amalia Valdez Monet, and I have been a Hoover parent since 2017. I am here today to advocate for something that will have meaningful and lasting impact in our students' education, reducing class sizes. Every student deserves the opportunity to be seen, heard, and supported in the classroom. But when classroom becomes overcrowded, even the most dedicated teacher, like Ms. Herrera, faced an important task, trying to meet the individual needs to too many students at once. I had the opportunity to see this firsthand, since son's preschool and kinder years, I volunteer often in the classroom, reading to the students and helping when I could. Now my younger daughter is in kinder with Miss Herrera, and I spend 3 days a week in the classroom helping for several hours. Because of this, I have been able to see the difference. When my son was in kinder, there were 2 Spanish kinder classes. Now there is only 1. That change had made a big impact. Ms. Herrera now has many students who only speak Spanish. Along with other students, he needs special attention. With only 1 teacher and a shared assistant, it's become very difficult to provide the individual support that many children need. Research constantly shows that students in small classrooms perform better academically, especially in early grades. Class size allow teachers to give more feedback, build a stronger relationship with students, and support both academically and social emotional development. This is not just about comfort. This is about education, quality, and giving every child the support they need to succeed. I respectfully ask the board to consider steps that will reduce class sizes, including implementing a second Spanish kinder class to better meet the needs of our students. Thank you for your time, your leadership, and your continued commitment to our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. So now I've got 2 hands up online that don't have comment cards, and I would presume that they're, please keep your hand up if you want to make a public comment. Top of the queue, I have Raj Padarath. Raj? Mr. Padarath? Yeah, all right. So not hearing back from Raj, we'll have Patricia Renderos.
Ok. Hola.
Hola.
Sí, buenas noches a todos los de la mesa directiva, señor Wicking, Mr. Bacon, Dr. Bacon y a todos, ¿verdad? Hoy estoy aquí muy emocionada porque sí estamos viendo resultados en los grados TK. Los niños están aprendiendo mucho. Mi niño me llega con muchas cosas positivas y eso da mucho que decir para los nuevos niños que van a ingresar. Quiero comentarles que yo estoy corriendo la voz para más niños que se inscriban a TK. Y esto es muy bueno para los kindergarten. Por favor, denle mucho soporte a los maestros de kindergarten y a los de TK ya lo tienen, pero estoy muy agradecida por todo lo que están haciendo y la mesa directiva que nos escucha. Muchas gracias. Es todo.
Gracias, Pati.
Okay, I will interpret the comment. And the comment was, hi, good evening, everyone. And good evening to the board meeting, to Mr. Weekly, and also to Mr. Baker, Dr. Baker, and everyone, right? Today I am here. I am very excited because, yes, we are seeing results with the grades in TK. The children are learning a lot. And my son comes to me with a lot of positive things, and that gives us, speaks volumes for the children that's going to come in. So I just want to share, that I'm spreading the word for more children so they can enroll to TK. And also, and this is very good for the kindergarteners. So please give them a lot of support to the kindergarten teachers and to the TK ones already have it, but I am very grateful for everything that you guys are doing and for the board that listens to us. Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you for the translation. All right, last up online, I believe we have Sofia Santos.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello, all. My name is Sophia Santos, and I'm a first grade teacher at Hoover. This is my first year in the Redwood City School District, but it is my 8th year working in education. I love what I do, and Hoover is an amazing community with staff who work hard to provide for our students and our families. I feel incredibly honored to work at Hoover and to be a part of this community. I honestly was not planning on speaking this meeting, just listening, but hearing from teachers and parents has inspired me. And even if my comment is short, I would like for it to be heard. Hearing that we are a district that is close to having the largest class sizes in the Bay is disheartening. With a master's degree in elementary education, it's very well known statistically that large class sizes hurt student progress. And I feel that is something a lot of teachers in the district are feeling. I currently have 27 students in my class, and that is a big number to manage between different behaviors and different needs. Sometimes I find myself feeling overwhelmed, and I'm grateful for the support that my school provides. But teachers are unable to focus on all students and ensure all needs are met when class sizes are this large. All students deserve to have their needs met, and all parents deserve to feel confident in the attention their child is receiving. Please consider taking those steps to reduce class sizes to better support all students and families. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I see one more hand up with Jackie Moore.
Hi, good evening. Like Sophia, I was only planning on listening today. I have never spoken to the board in my 22 years with Redwood City, but I feel compelled to advocate for my school, for my colleagues, and for my children. I have done an inter-district transfer for my 6-year-old twins, 2 years now, to Redwood City because I believe in Redwood City. I believe in the school. Mrs. Herrera is a fantastic kindergarten teacher, and I knew when my twins were born that I wanted her to be their first experience in school. And Miss Santos is their first grade teacher, and she is absolutely amazing. But our teachers are stretched thin. The class sizes are too large. And being a special education teacher, I see the needs of the students and I want to help, but that's not for me to do, even though I want to. And I try to support and I try to give all of these suggestions or visuals or fidgets wherever I can. But really, they need a paraeducator in each classroom, K to 2, PK to 2, and they need smaller class sizes. This is the entry into the education system. We want it to be a positive one. We want them to come out running with their tool bags full. We don't want them to be struggling with everything else in between. And as a special educator, I also advocate for special education. Each RLC needs a para. The caseloads are getting larger, the needs are more extreme, and each RLC needs a para. SLCs need a hard cap. We cannot go from like 8 one year to 15 the next because it's not manageable. And I believe in Hoover. I love Hoover. I believe in Redwood City, which is why I'm not only a teacher, I'm also a parent. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I believe that's the end of our public comment segment. Oh, Raj has his hands back. Okay, Raj, back to you.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Now we can, yes.
All right, sorry about that. The first time was my son. He accidentally raised my hand. So I wasn't actually gonna speak, but since my son did that and I wanted to support Miss Herrera. So good evening, members of Redwood City School Board. My name is Rajneesh Patarath. I'm a United States Marine Corps combat veteran and the father of a kindergarten student in Miss Herrera's class at Hoover Elementary School. I'm here today to express my strong support for Miss Herrera and the incredible work she does for our children. Miss Herrera is truly an extraordinary teacher. She has created a classroom where students feel safe, valued, and excited to learn. My son talks about her constantly at home. And as a parent, there is nothing more than reassuring that knowing your child is cared for by someone who genuinely loves teaching. Honestly, I often find myself wishing I had a teacher like Miss Herrera when I was a child. At the same time, her classroom faces real challenges. Many students have different learning and language needs, and about half of the class came in with little or no English because bilingual classes were already full. Miss Herrera works incredibly hard to support every student, but it is a very demanding task for one teacher. I've also heard that there might be a possibility in increasing the class size. As a parent, this is very concerning because when the classroom becomes too large, even the most dedicated teacher cannot give every child the attention they deserve. I respectfully ask the board to consider the impact of the class size on both students and teachers. Our children deserve classrooms built for learning and growth, not simply to fill for capacity. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I think with that, we are now done with public comment. We'll move on to union comment. So, Maria, would you like to make a comment? Flip a coin. I'm happy to have Brenna go first. Yeah. All right, great. Brenna Gear, to the stand.
Hello, my name is Brenna Gear, and I am president of the Redwood City Teachers Association. Tonight, our CTA and CTA are asking the Redwood City School District to officially endorse the Prop 55 extension, the Children's Education and Healthcare Protection Act of 2026. This important legislation is critical to continued state funding for education. You have a fact sheet, it looks like this. About this important topic, please consider doing an official endorsement with us. The other topic I bring tonight is to let you know that over the next several board meetings, you'll be hearing from me and other teachers on a variety of topics important to this round of negotiations. Topics like class size, salary, and safety. You have already heard from some this evening. It is our hope that you will keep open minds and hearts as I share data and teachers tell their stories. I want to thank all the teachers and parents that shared their experiences with class size tonight. Members of the board, I also thank you for all of your hard work during this critical time and your continued interest and collaboration. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Maria.
I wrote it down. Okay, and don't take it the wrong way. I just wanted to speak for a moment on the subject of classified employees always have in the back of their mind. Does this district really believe in fair and equitable not only for our students but also for their employees? It's very easy for us to question this when we see and experience always being given less than our teacher counterparts, and especially what our supervisors and administrators receive. We experience it through raises, through our medical benefits, through real training, etc. Even you board members get more than our classified employees. Are you offered medical plans with cost restrictions? Do you receive an increase of over 6% for attending meetings? Have you enjoyed getaways for weekends for training to make you a better board member? When the administrator goes to a gas pump, they may pay $5 a gallon for gas. When the teacher goes, they pay $5, as do classified employees. Everything goes up no matter what your status. But when it comes to salary increases, classified are pushed further and further down, needing to pay more and more out of our pockets compared to our brother and sister teachers, and more importantly, our administrators. When salary increases are negotiated, let's say the teachers settle for 5%, the classified members are expected to receive the same as do administrators. According to Google, administrators receive generally between $105,000 and $158,000 annually. Their 5% is between $7,000 and $8,000 increase. Teachers receive an average salary of $86,000 to $95,000, and their 5% is about $4,600. A custodian making $27.57 an hour, $55,000 a year. Their 5% is only $2,700. A paraeducator making $30 an hour, making $34,000 a year. Their increase is only $1,600 a year. This is far different when we have to go ahead and pay the same thing. Fair and equitable. Is it time to be fair and equitable to all our district employees and give them fair and equitable salary increases to keep up with the real cost of living? Let's try to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, and we are now going to move on to approving our bond consent items. As a reminder for members of the public, consent items are the ones where we approve a group of items in one go that are considered unlikely to be objectionable or need discussion. In this case, there's only one, which is selecting our auditor for Measure S and T funds. Can I get a motion to approve our bond consent calendar?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. Very well. And now for our school reports. And first up is going to be Roosevelt, I believe.
You want me to begin?
Can you do countdown?
Anyway? Okay. There we go. Good evening, Superintendent Dr. Baker, President Weekly, trustees, staff, families, and community members. I'd like to specifically welcome members of the Roosevelt community who are joining us online this evening and here in person. I'm Tina Mercer. I'm the principal of Roosevelt Elementary School, and I'm excited to share Roosevelt's progress with you this evening. Next slide. Oh, is this one? There we go. I'm particularly excited to share this slide as it demonstrates the incredible progress our students have made in the last 3 years. The California dashboard placed Roosevelt in ATSI, Additional Targeted Support and Improvement, for the 2022-2023 school year with specific concerns around English language arts, math, and English learner progress. The following year, we moved into comprehensive school improvement category, also for language arts and math, and then the addition of chronic absenteeism for our English learners. Our school staff took this really seriously, and we made a lot of intentional changes as we examined how to best serve our students and our community, resulting in very positive results, as you can see, for the 2024-2025 school year. Roosevelt moved into the yellow bands in language arts, math, and chronic absenteeism, while moving into the green band for English learner progress and the blue band for suspensions. I believe one of the biggest shifts for our school in the 24-25 school year was becoming solely an elementary school. This allowed a school-wide instructional focus to be on elementary curricula and standards. The next few slides will address LCAP goal number 1, which addresses the whole child as we meet the student needs in an inclusive and supportive environment, looking at the multi-tiered system of supports, or MTSS. It's one of the many acronyms you'll hear me use this evening. And the specific data we're looking at is based on attendance, chronic absenteeism, and suspensions. While the attendance rate has been improving each year, it's not quite making the goal of 2% each year. However, most of our interventions are actually focused on chronic absenteeism and really making sure we're reducing that number. So we have successfully reduced this by 10% over the last couple of years. So this means that more students are missing less school each year, and that has a significant impact on their learning. Our suspension rate last year was an anomaly. I'll be perfectly honest. It was our first year without any middle school grades, and this did lead to a significant decrease. It was also particularly unusual as our suspensions were limited to 1 student. We have seen an increase in certain behaviors this year, more so in our 5th grade class. However, school-wide, we have only had 8 students suspended all year. When compared to last year, this does look significant. However, I do want to make sure that it is much lower than years prior, even across our elementary grades in year prior. So our goal is obviously to return to last year's numbers, and as you'll see in a moment, we're doing a lot to address behavioral concerns. So, as I mentioned earlier, students who are not at school are not receiving the instruction they need for academic progress. So, attendance has been a huge focus for us for the last few years. It is highlighted at staff meetings and through all our parent contacts that include coffee with the principal, school site council and ELAC meetings, PTA meetings, back to school night, biweekly in the parent newsletter, and we call it out on report cards each trimester for students who are struggling in this area. When we look at our attendance data, it's important to call out that almost a third of our students who are chronically absent are from our TK and kindergarten classes. While this is tracked on the California dashboard, legislation remains in place that school is not mandated for students under the age of 6. This means that we do not have the same processes for our younger students. However, in saying that, we have taken a proactive approach to our TK and kindergarten classes. And in doing so, our MTSS TOSA, our Teacher on Special Assignment, yet another acronym you'll hear me use a lot, who monitors attendance, meets with our TK and kindergarten parents when regular attendance is a challenge in order to create positive attendance practices. She also held an evening event specifically aimed at our TK and K parents to educate them on the importance of regular attendance and how to create routines for this. School-wide, I do want to call out a number of things that are positively impacting our attendance numbers. The first one is our expanded learning opportunity programs. What that means is about 200 students, or about 57% of our students, are actually attending after-school programs. We have 3 different programs, there are 2 large ones. We've just added on another one recently to add for some additional need. Each trimester, our MTSS TOSA and our Family Center host drop-in attendance days to offer additional support to our families who are struggling with getting their students to school on time. At these days, we offer a variety of interventions that are personalized based on that particular family's needs and can include things like safety net services, such as clothing, backpacks. We have food pantry, toiletries, diapers, etc. Mental health services, in-school interventions, bus passes, and so forth. In a more creative approach, students are given the opportunity to decorate and personalize their own alarm clock. And when attendance improves, parents are sent thank you letters and cards, which I think is really important to acknowledge that they have made that change. We have perfect attendance awards each month for students who've demonstrated that. And then we also make phone calls to parents daily. Some of those are personalized, some of those are automated. So to put some numbers behind our work, our MTSS TOSA has created 52 and we used to call them SESPs, but school engagement support plans, which are attendance contracts with parents this year. We've held 2 district SARBs with the School Attendance Review Board, and with about 7 more coming up. So given the positive trends of these interventions, we plan to continue them all for next year. As we look at the suspension numbers, there is being a lot of work done to support our students, both social, emotional, and emotional challenges. We hold screen team meetings each week that include our MTSS TOSA, our community school coordinator, our school psychologist, and me. And we gather teacher input and discuss next steps around student concerns. Each classroom teaches a minimum of 2 social emotional lessons each week using a variety of curricula appropriate to the grade level, although many teachers weave it in throughout their instruction throughout the day. We are in our 3rd year of working with the Santa Clara County Office of Education, and this year's focus is on Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions. One we are currently trying right now is called a check-in, check-out system, where a trusted adult on campus checks in with a student each morning and ends each day with a quick checkout to see how the day went. We are also continuing the school-wide incentive program based on the Roosevelt Way. And the Roosevelt Way is we take responsibility, we make good choices, and we solve problems. Additionally, we have focused character traits each month with awards given to students who best represent those traits. We're continuing to work with Friends for Youth. It's been a number of years that we've been working with them, focused on our 5th graders. They meet weekly, and next year we actually hope to expand that to 4th graders as well. We currently have about 19 students who self-select and want to be a part of that mentoring program and who attend each week. Wherever possible, we look at alternatives to suspension, and we continue to build our bank of strategies and consequences in this area. And when students are unfortunately suspended, which it does happen, unfortunately, we make them in-house when possible, so students can continue with their work and do not fall behind. And we look at what other supports they might need, such as mental health check-ins or additional services. A couple of additional items that did not make this slide are conflict resolution practices involving a peace path led by our community school coordinator and we make excellent use of the district behaviorist who provides the support for individual students and whole classrooms as needed. The focus of Goal 2 is on English learner progress and reclassifying our students to become fully English proficient. This is an area where we have excelled in the past year. Almost 37% of our students increased at least one level on the LPAC assessment, and were able to reclassify 12% of our English learners last year. We hope to continue this trend in order to meet the district goal. So to address this goal, over the last couple of years, we've brought in Language Power, which is a structured ELD, English Language Development Curriculum. We've created grade level clusters of K2 and 3-5, so the students are circling between these different classrooms, although we may need to shift this a little bit next year as it's not quite working as well as we want to for our kindergarten students, our youngest students. We have provided support for our combination classes for the last 2 years. So what that means is because our combination teachers need to teach math, in particular, to 2 different grade levels. What they're doing is they won't teach ELD, so the students are pulled out for ELD during that time while they're teaching one grade level, and for the other grade level, the same thing occurs. We provide LPAC test practice, so the students get an experience working with the actual questions that they're going to be looking at, and with the same supports that they would have during the LPAC test as well. We've been working with Dr. Sagalan to increase the rigor and consistency of integrated ELD, which is English language development strategies across all subject areas. Our resource teachers, so our special ed resource teachers, are working with our students with disabilities in English language development, providing many of the same supports they receive for other core instructional areas. We have a part-time instructional aide to support our newcomers in 3rd through 5th grade, and just to highlight, we have 14 of those in those 3 grades. And we also have full-time bilingual instructional assistant who's supporting our K through 2nd students as well. And she also supports our 3rd through 5th grade ELD class. We also have a book club that is run by our community school coordinator for some of our Spanish-speaking parents, and that also creates more community as well. So next year, we're expecting at the moment to have 2 combination classes, which will necessitate some additional support for ELD classes for those teachers. For this, we'll most likely use our reading intervention teacher, and we have used over the past couple of years reading intervention teacher and the reading specialist to support. And we also plan to continue ELD coaching with Dr. Sagilan and expand the strategies to our kindergarten and 1st grade classrooms. So our 3rd goal is raising our language arts and math scores on iReady, the local assessment, and on CASP, the state assessment. So while looking at this particular slide, I think it's important to see progress in 2 places, and the other slides like this. We are seeing an increase in the number of students scoring at or above grade level, but we are also, and equally important, seeing a decrease in the number of students who are 2 or more years below grade level. And while this slide looks as if there is a dip, our students are continuing to grow, and we are seeing significant positive gains across all grade levels. And this slide demonstrates the huge gains we are making in moving students from 2 or more years below grade level, which is an incredibly positive trend. You can see that red block is becoming much, much smaller. And here, as in ELA, we are continuing to see significant growth in our students across all grade levels. And I do want to highlight that. The focus of CASP district-wide is specific to our English learners. So we met our target last year and, in fact, far exceeded it. We did not see the same growth in math that we saw in ELA. And one explanation, I do want to kind of explain a little bit by why that probably happened. We had a relatively large number of newcomer students in 4th and 5th grade. They were in their first year of school in the United States last year. Those students did not take the language arts portion. They're exempt from taking the language arts portion of the CASP. However, they do need to take the math portion, which is very literacy heavy. That brings a number of challenges to our students who are new to English and to American classrooms. So that does explain the difference between the CASP scores for both language arts and for math. So next steps, we want to continue to have a reading intervention teacher for K2 and a reading specialist for 3rd through 5th. As of right now, 89 students have been served by these 2 teachers this year. 26 students have formally exited the reading intervention process. However, I do want to highlight the number of the students who are actually currently receiving it, and we're receiving it since the start of the year, have actually changed how they receive it. A lot of our students were actually in what we call phonics groups. They were really focusing on phonics, early phonics. A lot of them are now, particularly in our 3rd through 5th, are moving to reading comprehension groups. So they've really shifted in terms of what they're learning, which is really good. So it really is kind of a promotion from where they were earlier. So if we were to average it out in terms of like the kids who have exited from one level and moved on to another, then the numbers would be significantly different. 3 years ago, we purchased an intervention phonics program for our 3rd through 5th grade. Our 3rd grade teachers actually tried it for a year, and it was right before the Hegarty curriculum actually came into place for our younger grades. And we saw really positive results. So we wanted to actually continue it in 3rd through 5th grade once Hegarty came in serving our kindergarten through 2nd grade students. What we've seen is with the success of the lower grade program, we're seeing fewer and fewer kids who actually need it in the 3rd through 5th grade, but we are continuing to use the phonics program for those students who need it. We do have significant after-school tutoring. We have air tutoring, which has been working 1st through 5th grade. And those students, that's more focused on reading. And then we also have CAP tutoring, which is just about to start. And we're actually focusing on our TK through 1st grade students to really start with those early numeracy challenges that some of those students might have. And then we have quite a few teachers who are actually providing small group tutoring at the end of the school day for their students. Their focus this year has been specifically on math as well, because that's something that we don't typically have during the school day. We also have one-to-one reading partners. So these are reading tutors that come in from a senior center, and they come in, they actually work one-to-one with our students. We're seeing tremendous growth with these students who are receiving this individualized attention. And there's a second group we're just about to start with as well. And so they're going to be providing similar support for some of our students. One of the things that have really created this year was structured grade level planning time. So our teachers at the same grade level are given the same preps, so they're able to actually work together and create more unified lessons. And so that's really been important for providing that grade level collaboration on a very regular basis. Our school-wide focus this year for the PLC, the work that we've been doing, or professional learning community work that we've been doing, has really been focused on writing, and that's been school-wide. So we're really seeing the progression in terms of what we're looking at and expecting from our kindergarten students, and seeing how it progresses all the way up through to 5th grade. Each month we have our leadership team meetings, and we really focus on data, different types of data, depending on the time of the year that we have the data available to us. So we're really focusing heavily right now on our sort of end of trimester type data, which is looking at the iReady, looking at BPSDs, and that sort of information that we have for all of our students. We provide a lot of different scaffolds for our students, and it varies on what the student needs. So that's clearly the joy of multi-tiered system of supports. Each student actually gets what they need and is differentiated. So we really look at that very specifically and targeted. We have very rigorous SST process. As I said, we meet weekly, and we really do talk about what supports do these kids need. We don't view the student success team meetings as a pathway to special ed. What we want to do is look at what can we do to help students behaviorally, help students with attendance, help students if there's social emotional challenges, as well as obviously academic needs. And then the other piece we're really doing is what we call authentic test prep. For any of our teachers who've been around for a long time, we were introduced a number of years ago to something called Fast and Furious. It's basically where each day the teachers take typically a test released question. They break it down so students actually try to work out how they would solve it. They talk about it. It's about a 10-minute activity each day, which I think is really good. The teachers right now are focusing on either language arts or math, but as we kind of gear up and get a lot closer to the CASP testing in 3rd through 5th grade, they'll probably be doing one of each day to really kind of build that strength. And then just in terms of where we're going next year, we are going to be expanding the PLC work to include math and continuing with the writing, because I think that's just really important. And we hope to, if we have some carryover that we're planning on having, introducing a little math tutoring a whole lot earlier next year as well. Any questions? I'm sorry if I raced through that a little too quickly, but.
That was wonderful. You did great. Fellow trustees, Mr. Lee.
First, thank you so much for all of it. Super helpful, and there's a bunch, I think, to be proud of. So I think I'll start off by calling out that.
Thank you.
One, the dashboard, all changing the indicators, no reds, moving out of ATS. I see it like, that's awesome. I think obviously a testament to you, but also I'm sure also to the district support and others. So that's great. I know it wasn't on the slides, but also taking a look at the SIPSA and looking at the the school climate results also super encouraging. Just it's clear that you're maintaining a good atmosphere where students feel safe, which is obviously a prerequisite for all the other good academic
Absolutely.
stuff. So that's awesome. Attendance, consistent upward trend, the great chronic absenteeism. Actually, that's one I have questions on, but just what you showed us and what you explained was super helpful. And some of these are I have some questions just because they came to my mind as you were speaking, but no pressure because they're kind of opinion questions. The first is maybe you have a particular expertise on this. Just looking at chronic absenteeism, where they tend to cluster around grades. I know you mentioned 30% currently are coming from the TKK. Do you have a sense of do we typically see higher rates in middle schools? Obviously, that's not currently where Roosevelt is, but do you know if that's a trend typically?
So we were K8 or TK8 for a while. So yes, I have experience in both. We tended to see certain clusters around certain grades, but I will say the grades sometimes changed.
Okay.
Like when I initially took on the middle school, like 8th grade was actually a really common area where we'd see a lot of fall off. So it ended up being top and the bottom, so TKK in 8th. But then there was a couple of years where we ended up seeing some really strange glitches in like 6th or something like that. So,
okay, but the bookends are pretty common.
They are.
Okay, that's helpful. The second is you mentioned current legislation. There is actually a bill that's been proposed this year to make kindergarten mandatory, not changing the age range, but at least sending a signal of its importance. Gut sense. Do you think that would be helpful in terms
Absolutely.
of? Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
And then the last one on chronic absenteeism was just slide 10. You spoke to a bunch of the different strategies. And it sounds like you kind of threw the kitchen sink, which obviously is what we have to do to, just try to tackle the problem. But it's obviously an issue that we're seeing, not just us, everywhere is seeing, but we're seeing spikes other places. Are there any particular strategies that you would call out that you found particularly effective that might be worthwhile sharing and encouraging?
I think these attendance events that we have are really critical. I think we come at them from a very, not like, oh, parents, you've done a terrible job because that's why we're calling you in for this meeting, but it's like, what do you need to help your child come to school? So it's a really proactive, very positive kind of approach that we take. So what is it you need? Do you need bus passes? Do you need mental health services? Is your child feeling anxious about something else? Are there different, academic concerns? So we really look at it from that perspective. And so parents feel supported when they're in there. In saying that, we are inviting the families who are struggling with attendance. So not all families attend, but we do tend to get a very good turnout in general. And some of the families will actually call and say, I'm really sorry, I can't make it on that day. And it's just a drop-in format. So it's from 8 to 4. Parents can come in at any point in time during that day. But some parents will say, oh, well, I can't come, but here, let me talk to you about it. So it actually invites that conversation, even sometimes if they're not able to attend the event. So I think having those, one or two of those each trimester has been really, really positive. So if I'm going to call it any one thing, I would say that was it.
Okay. No, that's super helpful. And it sounds like a lot of it is also the mindset of creating a partnership kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very much so.
That's great. Oh, actually, so one other thing, just as a clarification, and maybe Anna or Dr. Berry can correct me. Looking at the iReady numbers, I know that we switched to testing in the middle of the year compared to last year. So they're not really apples to apples when we're looking at the numbers. Is that correct?
Correct.
We would mostly actually expect to see a slight decline here because we're testing earlier when there's so much more of the school year left. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. No, last year I think we tested in March. And so this year it was in January.
Okay.
So.
Wouldn't meeting expected growth be automatically recalibrated for being only fractionally through the year? So
it is.
Yes. Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Can I say yes and?
You may.
Yes for language arts. I think that is actually really important. But let me just say, because math tests the full year, and there's a gigantic chunk of things that have not been taught between January and March. For example, some of our grades are just getting into fractions now. And that's a fairly big chunk. So even though they're assessing it, the students may not have any more experience than what they had in 2nd grade, like if they're in 3rd grade, for example, around fractions, because they're just learning it now. So for math, they're testing full year standards and they expect you to get a certain percentage of them. But in actual fact, that percentage can really shift a lot of things that have not been taught at all.
Okay, so the numbers themselves are calibrated, but because of the different weights and the times of year that things are taught, we're going to see some anomalies. Okay, that's helpful. Last question is just generally, especially on goals 2 and 3. And I know you can't predict the future, but just curious, do you have a sense of whether or not we feel like we're on track to achieve the goals that we've set out there for the year 2 milestones?
I feel like that we've seen tremendous growth in like each of our grade levels right now, particularly third and fourth, seen phenomenal growth. But I will say that our third graders came in very high in reading compared to their math. And it was this weird group because normally we see them about fairly similar. It's kind of a weird anomaly there. So am I expecting our language arts scores? I feel absolutely certain because we're only looking at 3 grade levels. There may be some challenges with some of the math, but I do believe our 4th and 5th will absolutely meet it. And I think our teachers in 3rd grade are doing a phenomenal job to actually get their kids ready for the 3rd grade test too.
Okay. And that's, I guess that's more of the goal 3 and goal.
That's goal 3.
Yeah. How do we feel about goal 2?
We actually test our kids a little earlier in that this year too, in the LPAC, which can have an impact on our students. But I do know that ELD is being taught very regularly. And so I think that really does help our students. So I would like to think, based on what I've seen in terms of things like iReady scores, we're seeing our students grow. And so I would like to think that if those same students who are multilingual learners are growing in the language arts part of the iReady, we'll continue to see growth in the LPAC as well. So yeah,
Okay.
I do feel good about that.
Can't predict the future, but feel good about what we're seeing.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up, Mike.
Sure. Thanks, Dana, for the presentation on Roosevelt. Before we jump into sort of the goals and the numbers there, it's the way we have to govern is to look at like what the goals are and the metrics in there. But I don't lose sight that behind every single one of those percentages or red, yellow, green indicators, there's a student, there's staff in the classroom, staff at the school site, there's caring parents and adults that want to partner with the schools to make it happen. There's community events. There's so much more that goes on in there.
Absolutely.
And so it doesn't always necessarily come through in the numbers. Maybe we see it in some of the attendance rate. That might be one. The MTSS numbers might show it. But there's a whole lot more that goes into the school than just the numbers that we're going to look at. But, this is also an important part of the board's job is to oversee the schools and hear how they're doing. And I love the format, by the way, just as a meta point, that everything's lined up, really aligned with LCAP. It just makes it so easy. The work that you all have been doing the last couple of years to sort of align SIPSA's LCAP and get everything together into kind of a common reporting, that alignment is really, really helpful. And so it's neat to see as the first presenter, you get the preamble. I could repeat it for everybody. I think you identified those spots where you're focusing. So I would just want to celebrate the really strong growth that I saw across all 3 goals here. You started with how you exited at CSI last year. That was awesome. We'd heard about that. The attendance, great improvement, really strong focus on the chronic absenteeism. Thank you for sharing for Trustee Lee's question, what interventions you thought were working the best. I thought for sure you were going to say the alarm clocks. And
I knew you wanted me to.
But because those look like great ideas. But anyway, whatever it is, I'm glad that you're trying many strategies to see that work and get that in there. The goal 2, though, wow. I mean, what the growth that you're seeing with your emerging multilingual learners is tremendous. That's really something to be proud of. I think that, Roosevelt's a special school, right? And it's great to see how all the progress that's happening there. And of course, on goal 3, you've seen some really good academic indicators at growth too, particularly in the iReady. I don't know what's up with the CASP. You gave some reasons why it might be a little bit different, but having the touch points throughout the year is probably a better, stronger indicator of how students are growing as opposed to just the one dipstick at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And I know, as you mentioned, you're taking your data analysis time, you're looking at it, you're breaking it down by subgroups, looking at the areas where which students really need help and how to organize it. One of the questions that I had was actually about the students that hadn't exited from the reading intervention, and you explained it great. Graduated into the
yes, they are
one.
the next level.
It sounds like Roosevelt is a thriving community, and so thank you for your leadership and all of your staff and everybody at the site.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Jennifer.
Thank you for the presentation. very similar comments to both David and Mike, but I also wanted to give you a shout out on your survey data showing the year over year. It makes it really clear how much growth you guys are getting in all of those things. I just had one more question that I forgot to ask earlier. You guys didn't have any LTELs this year. Was it because you don't have?
We don't have sixth grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just confirming. But otherwise, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And again, thank you for the presentation. And obviously, thanks to all teachers and staff that work at Roosevelt. Definitely, kudos to everyone for the increase in the reclassification. And my only question is, when you talked about the one-on-one tutoring, is that during class or does a student get pulled out of class? And then how long is that tutoring?
So they do get pulled out of class. The one-to-one, the reading tutors actually pull them out of class. We try to find a time that is actually beneficial, the least impactful on the student. So we structure that around the schedule of the student, not around the schedule of the tutor. The tutors come during that time. And we have some students who are actually working with them after school, depending on their availability. And so it's generally for about 20 minutes to half an hour once a week, sometimes twice a week, depending on the child. But it's been really, really good in terms of that relationship between the tutors and the students. Some of the kids have actually, and anecdotally, because that's kind of what we do when we're talking about the kids, but it's sort of, some of the kids have actually kind of made comments about, I can read now, and they're excited to read. Parents have told us that now their child wants to read to them at home, actively picks up a book. And those kinds of things, you can't beat that. I mean, even if it's an N of one, that one child now can read is pretty amazing. But we've seen it across multiple students this year. This is a new program for us this year. It's been really successful.
Great. And then with that, I'm just curious if, since it's a new program, do tutors get back to teachers so that they can talk to the parents and then give them some feedback as to how to help the students?
No, so actually what happens is the tutors work, and then we have a person who oversees the tutors, and they provide us with some feedback. They provide us the feedback to the MTSS TOSA, and she provides it to the teachers. But a lot of the parents are actually sharing the anecdotal information back to us as well. And they're just really excited. I think it's just the kids are getting excited about reading. And these were kids who typically really struggled.
And then I'm just wondering if with that, would parents get some sort of information as to like maybe where their kids are struggling with, like, I don't know, pronunciation or understanding certain text, and again, how they can help them farther in reading?
They get that from the teachers anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's something the teachers will provide, because the teachers are still doing their work with the students as well. They still do their differentiated small groups. They still do all of that. So it's not instead of the teachers doing the work, it's on top of the teachers doing the work.
Okay, perfect. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Celia.
Thank you so much for being first up.
You're welcome.
Woohoo! Yeah, you're brave. I love it. I like the decorated alarm clocks. I think it's a fun idea. I would never have occurred to me. And I think it's a good sign of just being willing to try things, and not everything's going to work out, but like the whole point is to lean into it with the spirit of inquiry and see what works and what doesn't. It's great to hear that like the attendance events turned out, TLDR to be the big impact one, but just, I love that spirit I wanted to call out of like, let's try stuff. I'm curious, how impactful are the automated versus personal calls? You said like some of the calls were automated, some were personal. I would have a guess, but I want to hear from you.
I think personalized calls are always more impactful. Getting an automated message to say your child's not here, or, that kind of thing. It's like, okay, well, I heard my child's not here. Hopefully they're aware their child was not there. But that personal phone call to say, hey, we're just a little concerned. Yeah. Your child's been out for a few days, trying to follow up, that sort of thing, I think is just really important.
Makes sense. Awesome work on reclassification acceleration. Really excited to see that. Friends for Youth was cool to learn a little bit about that, and tapping into the senior center for one-on-one supports is fantastic. Whenever we can give one-on-one, folks here have obviously been advocating for small class sizes, and you can't really get smaller than one-on-one. So it's fantastic. Building on your response to Cecilia, the tutor gives feedback to the tutor master, who gives it to the MTSS TOSA, who gives it to the teacher.
Yes.
Who then gives it to the parent?
I know that sounds like
it's baton passes.
Yes, but it's only specific. So typically there's not a lot of, it's not like every week the teacher is getting feedback.
Sure.
So sometimes a tutor might share something with their leader and and I know our MTSS TOSA meets with the leader regularly. And so I'm going to say, hey, so-and-so, this child is doing really, really well this week. Notice really engaged with this kind of text. Great. That then gets passed on to the teacher. Frequently, when the tutor picks up the student, it's not like they'll sit there and have a conversation with the teacher, but they might actually, when they drop the student off, kind of say, hey, they did a great job on such and such. So the teacher gets that immediate feedback, but the teacher's seeing the growth just in their own classroom. So that's why they don't need that regular feedback necessarily from the tutor, because they're seeing that.
I hear you on that, but just like the surface area contact with the parent is now like 6 rungs removed, and playing telephone feels like I don't know, like it's like if a tutor was working with my kid and was like, you know what, he's just really not into dinosaurs anymore, but like he's really enjoying like engaging questions about space, I'd be like, oh, okay, let's go down to the library and get him some space books. But like if that rich feedback from the tutor is kind of being shielded from me by having lots of layers of handoffs, because a small detail like that might not be thought to be passed on at one of the different levels of the chain, like the parents might end up out of the loop. So I'm curious if there's more we could do to connect tutoring feedback.
We could. I mean, the purpose of the tutoring is to really increase their reading.
Yeah.
Get them to love reading, get them to enjoy reading, get them to get better at reading.
Awesome.
The teachers are plugged into that.
Right.
Teachers are seeing that.
Yeah.
So that's the feedback that the parents are getting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then just a board level question. The purpose of us asking for mid-year iReady testing, right, was to be able to give principals the opportunity to observe how is the year going so far and still have some time to course correct and make changes based on the data. Now that we're in it, is this a good plan? Is this working? Do you feel like you're getting actionable mid-year iReady data that is letting you make concrete adjustments and changes to the rest of the year?
Very much so. I mean, we see some of those students who are not growing, and we know that we need to look at some other interventions, some other possible things that might be going on to look at how we can support that child differently, because clearly what we're doing is not necessarily working. We also then have that opportunity to see all the growth students are making. I mean, they're making it from end of August, beginning of September until January, and to be able to see those students making that growth during that time. It also, when you're concerned, because sometimes in the classroom, you may not see a student growing as much as you think they should, and then you give them a test like this and you're like, wow, this is where they were and this is where they are. It gives those teachers that really good feedback. In saying that, some kids, particularly our lowest grades, our kindergarten, our first grade teachers took it. We've got better assessments for the kids in terms of that regular data. It's a data point.
Yeah.
But for those kids that are young, taking an assessment on a computer is definitely a little bit more challenging for them.
For sure.
But it's just an additional data point. I think the one-on-one assessments they do with BPSTs are a little bit more accurate.
Totally.
But it's a great stepping off point once we get into like second grade and onwards as well.
Because I really appreciated the nuance you were giving about like the English testing versus the math testing, that there's a nice linearity to the English testing to be able to like mid-year calibrate and have that mean something. And it was sort of feeling like that was less true on the math side.
I would say that, yes.
Okay, so, all right. I want to make sure we're not wasting everybody's time by asking everybody to do mid-year math testing that is not helpful. So if you were queen of the world here and had an optimal testing regime so that we test enough to know how things are going and make meaningful course corrections, but not so much that we're gathering data that we can't take action on, or that we're discarding the results of the test because everybody knows mid-year iReady math, you can't really pay attention to that because we haven't taught enough of the fundamental materials. Like what in your view is the right answer for testing?
I think we'd still be looking at testing our 3rd through 5th graders around that time, just because you want to space out testing.
Okay.
You don't want to have high stakes testing back to back and have testing exhaustion.
Yeah.
So I still think our 3rd through 5th graders would need to be tested at that point in time. I think it'd be nice to have a little bit later for our younger students, our K2.
So that suggests a nudge on timing for the younger grades. Okay. I think that's good.
Yeah. And I think next year, if we test at the same time, we do have a point on point. So it's like if we're looking at iReady data from this year in January, and then we're looking at iReady data from next year in January, we actually have better comparable points rather than this year we're looking at it from January compared to last March.
Right.
So that does make a little bit different, particularly in math.
Yeah.
I don't think it makes as much difference in language arts.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Cool. Dr. Baker?
So Tina, great presentation. Thank you. A great shout out to you. definitely on the progress you made on your 3 goals. It's fantastic. But the one thing that is really great about the Roosevelt staff, and there's a staff member sitting right in front of us here in first grade, Sherry's here, but the other staff members that are online tonight is they have taken Dr. Sagilan and her professional development and really put it into play. So for any of you who want to see what this professional development has really, how it's taken off and how it's being utilized at one of our school sites, it's a really good place for you to go and see it in action. And your teachers have really taken it on and have used it. And I'm sure that for one of those goals, it's really worked well for you.
Yeah.
So kudos to that. The other thing that I really want to overemphasize and really applaud you on, in talking to you previously, even, I think last year when you were doing the attendance events, and just knowing the number of parents that were dropping in.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Between that time of 8 and 4 on that day, and that they couldn't come in, they'd call you and say, this is what's happening and this is where we need support and so forth. So that was a great strategies to go ahead and use. And I applaud you and your staff for doing that. And the other piece is the SSTs. You are using the SSTs along with your team, not because you want the 2 students to go into special ed. You want to see what can we do, everything we can do before we go down that pathway. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I'm really pleased to see that happen, and to your staff. Good work.
Thank you. I could stand up here and take all the kudos, but in actual fact, I'm just the
I know,
face.
that's why I said
It's like
staff,
the
'cause I
staff,
see them online.
We have phenomenal staff at Roosevelt, and a lot of them been there for quite a while. And so, really all kudos goes to them in terms of all the work they're doing.
And you're just leading the charge. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Sweet. Does the board want to have any further discussion about Roosevelt? No good?
All right.
You are released.
Thank
you. Fantastic. All right. Next up is
It's
McKinley.
an action item.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Evelyn. We know who runs the district. Okay. Okay. So we will need a motion to approve the SIPSA for Roosevelt.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the SIPSA for Roosevelt.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries unanimously. Wonderful. And with that, we will move to McKinley. Yeah. Okay. Reset and count up. Thank you, Evelyn.
Okay. Come on, Catherine. You're my partner here. All right. So Catherine and I will be presenting the McKinley report. We know we have Dr. Ariola here as well, who's been here supporting, and it's his first year, so we didn't want to have to put him up here. We will get started. Again, this is middle school with the board report. So once again, you'll see this on many of our school sites on their board report, just so we can see where we started when we started with the LCAP and where we've gone. McKinley is a middle school, and you can see that we started in 2023 with a lot of reds and a lot of areas where we needed to work on. As we move into this next year, we've moved from red in language arts to yellow. There's been a lot of work in that area, and in math as well, to orange. We have our English learners who've been in blue. They were in green last year, so we started off in green, so they've been doing really well with their English learners, and then our suspensions have actually declined. So 2 years ago, we continued being at ATSI for 2 years, and then they were exited this last year. So it's super important that they've made some progress. We still have our subgroups that need to be focused on at the school site, specifically for chronic absenteeism is one of the areas that continues to be a struggle at McKinley. So as you guys know these LCAP goals very well. I'm not going to repeat them for you guys, as you know them super well about our chronic absenteeism, our attendance rate, and our suspensions. So for McKinley, one of the areas that has been working is their attendance rate has improved from where it started. So we're really happy to share that there has been some improvement. It's not wonderful or great, but there is slight improvement. For chronic absenteeism, we started off really strong, went up, and then this year we've sort of taken a dip. I'll talk a little bit about the actual numbers of chronic absenteeism that I've been working with. In suspensions, this was an area last year where it also started to decline. It is middle school, and if you've ever been in middle school, Seventh grade is a hard year, especially this year, right, Dr. Arreola? And so over the time, again, a lot of reduction last year. Unfortunately, this year, you can see where we're not going to meet the targets already. We are, when you look at our mid-year, when we look at our ELs, we're a little bit above our goal of 4.8. We're already at 5.1. We're not going to meet that goal already. We are aware of certain areas where we're not meeting the goals in terms of suspensions. It does continue to be an area of need at the McKinley site. But there are things that are being done. So I really want to talk about our attendance. We have a fabulous TOSA, Miss Angeles, who really does an outstanding job at really trying to outreach to all of the families. They have 110 kids who are chronically absent. I counted every single one this weekend, and really trying to understand there's one person working on this attendance, and then we also have had the McKinley's, one of the grant has the CSPP grant, where they also have had an attendance person who monitors 25 students. Unfortunately, that person just resigned. So Ms. Angeles will be continuing the work with the 110 kids. But out of those 110 kids, she's done 77 sets. That means 77 touch points with families, creating a system to engage students in attendance. There's a lot of work that's done at the school site. Not only do we have Ms. Angeles, but I do have to say they have one office staff, Ms. Madison, who makes sure that she calls every single family who does not come to school. And then her and Mrs. Angeles touch base every single day, and Ms. Angeles continues to follow up. So they have a well-working machine there to really try to get the students to be at school. We've also been engaging some of the McKinley students who are chronically absent, who are now attending our alternative program, which is an online program for some of the students who have some, severe issues, specifically when you look at school avoidance. So we've been working with those kids. Those kids are still logging online. Sometimes they do come in person at Roosevelt. So I want to say thank you to Tina, who hosts our Roosevelt alternative program. But we are trying to engage the students, and those are specifically McKinley students that are severe avoidance. And so they continue to join online, and so they're still getting educated with our teacher. The other thing that has been done just recently, in fact, is because MIT has a team and a leadership meeting, they have been meeting to really look at how do we engage our students in getting them to attendance awards. So they have done every month. They are looking at grade level attendance. And so each month, a different grade level is getting an award at the end of the month. And then they're doing a trimester one, which is coming up with the pancake breakfast for the students who have good attendance. So we're not just looking at attendance coming to school, we're also looking at attendance going to class. So the Miss Angeles monitors all of that to make sure every single child is being recognized when possible. So a lot of the work that's going in for attendance at MIT, I have to say, is to our TOSA. There's other things that we are working on at PBIS. They are in their second year of completing the PBIS with Santa Clara County. So hopefully next year when Mr. F, because I can't say his name, will be taking over, he'll continue that work as he was before at McKinley. For some of the things that we've been doing, even for suspensions, we have really put into play, now that we have Mr. Cedar, who's helping support us, at McKinley, he's put some things into play with helping with the students. We hope that we hope will continue there with us at the end of the year. He's putting in some systems to make sure we're continue with the academic process. But we know that students need to be in classrooms and attendance needs to be. So it's one of the areas they've been working on together. So I'm going to hand it over to Catherine.
All right. Thank you, Anna. So goal 2. That is a 3-part goal. As you know, that the first one is annual progress on our summative LPAC. The second part of our goal is our English learners making gains in reclassification. And part 3 is reducing the number of our long-term English learners. You can see our metrics here, and increasing and making gains in the number and percent of students who are making 1 year growth on LPAC. Of course, we want all of our students to make 1 year growth. But with our realistic targets, we are setting measurable goals for ourselves, and so making progress towards our ultimate goal next year, which is going to be, we're measuring right now, right? We're taking the LPAC right now through the end of May. Of looking at our next year's expected outcome. Reclassification rate, that's where you'll see a decline in the percent and the number of students who reclassified from prior year. And then the long-term English learners, you could see a very large decline. So kudos to the McKinley staff for reducing the percent and the number of students who are classified as long-term English learners. So in goal 2, it's a shorter goal, but super important to, for our English learners, our multilingual learners, the next step. So something that's been happening this year is a big focus on professional development in the area of designated ELD, with a particular focus on integrated ELD. And I want to give a shout out to our McKinley teachers who are online and who were with us earlier tonight for engaging in a cycle of instructional practices and reflection and professional development within their classrooms. They've been a very collaborative team where they plan lessons with our district coaches in integrated ELT based on the content that they're teaching. And then it takes a lot of vulnerability to have your peers come in and observe you. And the purpose is to learn from each other, best practices, reflect on what works well, and what they'd like to change in their lessons. So continuing in this practice, in fact, we have our next cycle coming up later this month. So again, big shout out to our McKinley teachers for participating in these cycles of professional development. We also have our wonderful bilingual instructional assistant who supports our newcomer students in the classrooms in areas of content. And thanks to the foresight of our Parents on School Site Council, they've actually identified carryover funds to have additional support with another bilingual instructional assistant for the remainder of the year. And of course, thanks to our designated ELD teachers as well for participating in professional development and delivering designated ELD during the school day, and in addition, LPAC boot camp from our community school at MIT. So barriers, middle school can be a time of growth and challenge, and working with our students on an agency over the LPAC exam itself, and being aware of their English language progress in the 4 domains. And so that's definitely an area that we will continue to work with through professional development, and as well as students having ownership and agency on their summative LPAC.
All right, for our LCAP goal, specifically, as you know, academics, specifically our I-rated English learners. So just want to start off with, again, our I-ready for this year. As you can see, we looked at there has been some growth in really trying to reduce the red. One of the challenges in middle school, as you know, is we do need to have intervention. It's one of the areas that we know that is lacking, right? We have students who are still have very basic reading skills. And so one of the things that we're hoping for next year is to really work on intervention. What does that look like in a middle school classroom when you are required to have 6 periods a day of specific content? And then how do we support our students? And McKinley's an area where we need to really invest some time and put some work into this interventions at the school site. And so we don't have them right now, but what this information tells us is that it needs to be embedded. So for our ELA and I-ready growth, you can see McKinley has made some strides in meeting their 4% for our students. So they have been working hard. The students have taken it seriously. I know that in talking with the staff, we had our 8th graders who really took this test seriously because they knew going into high school, this matters. And their scores mattered. And we had students who came into the office and asked, can I retake it? And so they were given the opportunity and definitely showed a lot of growth. And I think that goes to say that the staff was really making it a point that they needed to really truly understand the importance of what the ELA and math tests did for those eighth graders going on to high school. So I'm really proud of our students who really took the time and to ask for what they needed and really took it seriously, and for our teachers to really showcase the students the importance of this exam for them. In math, again, it's one of the areas where growth. We also have a new curriculum in math this year in middle school, so our teachers are still learning all the ins and outs. Our K-5s have been doing this for 3 years, but our middle school teachers are really learning the new curriculum. But needless to say, it is still another area in which we have made some growth. Not enough growth, but we know that it's an area of focus. Again, last year, they were able to make their 4% growth, and we were just 1 point shy. So we were getting there for our growth with our students. We were so close. But what it goes to show is that our students are putting in the work, and the teachers are also putting in some work. And again, our CAS, well, although our CAS is not showing what we need, we also are very hopeful that this year, with some of that growth that we've seen, that the students will take their CAS test and take it seriously, and hopefully we'll see some growth this year. The same for math, again, an area of growth. All of these areas are really areas in which I think we need to really focus in on how do we provide intervention in middle school. We do have a lot of tutoring that's happening at McKinley. We also in the after school program, I know it's not written here, but I want to just make sure we do have tutoring in math as well as in reading and phonics. For students who need phonics skills, we have our air reading for 25 of those students. Some of those students are newcomer students or students that are struggling, and they are in our after school program. I think that's an area where we could possibly expand next year. It is hard, though, to get middle school students to stay after school for 30 minutes to get tutored. They want to go home, right? But we do know that with the after school program, who it is there, we are trying to reach out to those students. Like everyone in the school district, you're going to hear, everybody did have a huge focus on professional learning communities, and it's part of our driver of the data to look at. McKinley had a writing goal. And so what it allowed everyone to do at the writing is all teachers are writing teachers. It's not just the ELA teachers. So we've been working collaboratively in our PLCs to make sure that writing continues across the board. With our professional development that we did with CROP, we brought in our science and social studies teachers to make sure they understand how to teach reading, because typically in middle school, they're very focused on the content. Our students nowadays are expected to be able to read the content. So it was very important for us when developing our professional learning that we included this for our middle school teachers, because science teachers typically don't know how to teach reading or strategies. That's not what they go into it for. Nor math teachers, right? They're very in their subject. So we wanted to make sure that we provided access to understanding that we're all language arts teachers, we're all math teachers. We have to make sure we're providing them some opportunities to learn as well. And so because of that, our focus is making sure that they're reading. And unfortunately, a lot of our curriculum in those areas are readings. There isn't a science textbook going to teach us history about doing something hands-on. So at science, we can do hands-on, but the majority of the text in middle school is a text-based or online. So reading and comprehension is super important. So that's one of the areas in which we've been working with, and with Dr. Saguilon is some of the planning they've been working on along the curriculum and the training we've been providing. McKinley has had common planning time embedded since last year. So that's some common planning time that was built into the schedule. It's something we continue to work on for next year, as well as I'm working with Mr. F to help us continue. They continue with instructional coaches. And now they're reaching out more to them because they're very visible on campus. Super important. They are looking, having dedicated time after school or sometimes even during the lunch hour. So we really want to say thank you to our teachers who are really putting the work in. Although it seems that we're not making growth, we know the teachers are putting the time and effort into McKinley. And we hope that next year with Mr. Nick coming back to us, I'm hoping he has a great focus. He's already constantly in communication with me and really building into an intervention plan. We've talked about how do we build an intervention plan into the day so that all students need supports and we can provide them. So it's something we're working on for next year. And not just at McKinley. We want to make sure we can figure out how to do this at all our sites in middle school because it's one of the challenges. Okay. Any questions?
Thank you for stepping in to present. Speaking about the interventions, so we've budgeted for McKinley next year already for both reading and math, or kind of what does that intervention plan look like?
Well, I think part of the intervention we're looking at is we knew, one of the things I'm working on with Nick, both Catherine and I are going to be meeting with him, is really looking at, he believes in a block schedule where everybody is in some form. Either they're doing English language development, and then those who are not in ELD are doing some type, either enrichment or intervention. The problem we have is what I'm telling him is our ELD students may need intervention, so we also have to provide that somewhere. If we put it on one block, some kids are not going to get it. So we have to be really creative in how we do it. And so I've been trying to communicate with him. He's working out, what if I try to block schedule? What if I did? So he's working on different schedules to see what we can make work to provide the time that's needed during the school day.
And just a kind of random question, you mentioned, do they take attendance at every period?
Yes, they do.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation. And in regards to reading, obviously, there's no reading specialist in the middle school age. But just like you're talking about, maybe thinking strategies, what type of block schedules and what interventions could happen. I'm wondering if, again, there's so much, right? But they're middle school students. So what can we do to get them interested in going to, maybe just get better at reading? Whether it's maybe offering them some healthy pizza, maybe not every day, of course, because then of course we don't want to offer them pizza all the time, but something that would make it fun, because it's not just about the fun as the academic piece, but what do we do with middle school students to get them eager to learn, right? Because it is only better for them, you just moving forward, high school and beyond. So just more of a thought than a question. And then my question was in regards to the LPAC after school boot camp. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what that?
So that was our, yes, yeah. So that was the McKinley's Community School Coordinator, working together with some support staff to offer, they identified specific students that would be ready to reclassify. So students scoring a 3 on the LPAC exam, and they invited them, and they had a great attendance on this, because it was all optional, to attend a boot camp prior to LPAC testing. So about a month before LPAC testing, the community school coordinator with some staff, Newcomer TOSA provided lessons from Summit K-12. They have a lot of support materials. And we have, as a district, we have a great cache of support materials as well, as resources for the students to really hone in on writing, because that is the weakest area and the reason that many students may not be scoring a 4. And so focusing in on some specific targeted task types and skills prior to the LPAC test.
And just to piggyback, they did that last year too.
Yeah.
So this isn't the first year that boot camp has existed at MIT. They did it last year too, and they got very good results.
And then with maybe the long-term English learners in mind, when we get them the help, do we have a bilingual person that, I know it's English and I know you have to, as an ASL student myself, right? It was English only. So it tends to be hard because you're frustrated because you're not understanding what they're telling you. So perhaps if somebody's there to at least give you some type of comfort, just so that you know what you're doing. I'm just wondering if, again, we do pair them up with a bilingual person that can make them feel just more comfortable.
I think that's one of the areas also that we need to look at. We have reduced how many newcomers we have, but that with the school site council, That was one of the recommendations. Could we bring in another bilingual? Because again, we have 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and one aide can only support in, a homeroom at 6 or going to science. I can't go to all of them. So having more support. So that's why they were able to get one this year, an added instructional assistant to help with those in the classrooms, because they still have a high number of newcomers at in the area. Even a 3-year, right, is still a newcomer, still doesn't have enough language for the content, can comprehend, but needs some supports. We just don't have enough staffing to be able to follow them around to all the classrooms where they may need some of that support, or the teacher doesn't speak Spanish. So yeah, so that's something we're looking into as well, to how do we provide that at the middle school level.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for presenting on behalf of McKinley tonight. I just want to express some real gratitude to the teachers and staff. I know they've been navigating a couple years of leadership changes, and that's just how tough that can be. And seeing the stabilization and even the growth in many of the metrics here is just a real testament to their perseverance and their dedication to the students and their success there. So that was good to see. And there's good growth in a lot of the metrics. You can see it across all 3 goals. But it's clear, McKinley still needs help. And so your thought of doing the interventions next year is great. I was wondering, with Warren coming back, Mr. Cedar coming back to to lead through the rest of the school year, is he empowered to be able to make some changes now? Does he have the funding to be able to?
Let's talk to Luis. He's right here. He's working with him back to back after he's been back a week. Come on, Mr. Ariola. So our Mr. Ariola is our VP who just started. So I just wanted, if you guys haven't met him, he is the VP from McKinley. We just didn't want to put him on the stand today. So has he been, he's been there a week.
A week, yeah, of course.
I can have him testament what changes have been made at MIT.
With his support. Yeah. Well, he's a retired principal, so he's bringing all the expertise. It's been a full week of action-packed middle school extravaganza, but he's just bringing his expertise, and I just, he's making the connection with teachers, checking in with what they need, checking in with students, build that relationship, even though it's March, but he's just trying to make that connection first.
Yeah, that's great. And then I was wondering, if he identified an intervention that could be tried even now in the course of this year, and might give us some early learning of things to do next year. He obviously can't change the master schedule. That's off the table here. But if he identified something, does he have the funding? Would he be able to put something in and say, hey, I think we could really help, this group now? Is that an opportunity?
You would have the funding.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think we would need to figure it out.
Okay.
I haven't been Mr. Earl has been there, our foot's on the ground since the beginning. I come and go. Now with Warren, Mr. Cedar there, I'm not there as often because I feel like, okay, I'm not needed as much. But I do think it hasn't something we haven't talked about.
Yeah.
Right? We've been really trying to get him, the team really being supported at the school site. But I'm sure we also have the leadership team that has had great we have a great leadership team with teachers who has really, their focus is how do we create a safe, inclusive environment.
Yeah.
They had their first dance ever in I don't know how many years, and it was great, right? The kids, a great success. We are bringing, I think we had Black History Month. They brought speakers. They're really trying to motivate. And just this Monday, I'm just torn because we brought in Jose Hernandez, who is our Mexican astronaut, to speak with the entire school. I walked away so proud of our kids. For an hour, they listened to the astronaut and wore his gear. They got to see firsthand his flight into space. The kids were crowding him. I think that's what we need. We need to energize them with the possibilities and the motivation. And I think when I walked away from there to that, kids, I have to say, did not take out their phone. They kept telling us, can you take a picture? Can you take a picture? So, there's a lot of changes, but I think we need the motivation and to keep up the kids and show them the possibilities. And that was a huge investment. Thank you to Catherine for providing that funding. Because that's what the kids need. We need to find motivators to show them what are the possibilities to change what we can do. And I think that was really powerful on Monday.
Yeah, so empowering. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really great to hear. Yeah, I just want to make sure that, you know, if there's an opportunity to try something new or put in something, that opportunity can be seized now and not have to wait until like August or next year. I'm excited for Nick to come back too. But you know, we do still have like 3 months left in this
Yes,
year,
we
so
do.
be excited to see that. All right, thanks.
Yeah.
I'll, like everyone else, I'll express appreciation for presenting. I know it's, you know, lots of things in flux. So appreciate typical Redwood City fashion of jumping in and doing the other things when called for. I think one of the things we always talk about as a board is growth is the most important attribute that we focus on. So I want to make sure that we acknowledge, like Mike did, that there are several areas here that we have seen growth, like exiting ATSI, frankly, tremendous growth on Goal 2, the LPAC and LTEL rates, as well as a lot of encouraging stuff from the iReady. But it was also encouraging to hear that there's a big focus on the chronic absenteeism, because frankly, those numbers seem miraculous, almost just, I don't know, you can't learn if you're not there. And these are really, really high chronic absenteeism rates. And I suspect we heard from Tina earlier some strategies at Roosevelt, but my suspicion is that we're going to have different rationales or causes behind them at MIT. And so just a different puzzle to solve. And I'm glad that that's something that's being focused on. The one number though, or piece on the SIPSA that jumped out to me was on the student, the school climate results, where I think it said less than half of our students reported feeling safe at school, and less than half felt like they had and at least in the fall, had an adult they felt cared about them. And that's really challenging, because I think about my own time. If I didn't feel safe and supported, I wouldn't want to be there either. And I just, is there more behind? Because I think we just heard that there's a focus, right? Also on making sure that we're creating a safe and supportive environment. But do we know more about like what is underlying that, the fear? Or?
Well, I'm going to be very honest with you. Our suspension rate in the last 2 weeks has gone up. Not gonna, lie to you. There's been a lot of fights, and it's not easy to control and be in the middle of our, of what's happening, right? There's a lot of social emotional. The phone continues to be a problem, because even though they're not using it at school, they're still using it at home, and that then comes into the school, and then that creates more chaos. So even though, and we're not just seeing that at McKinley, we're seeing it everywhere else as well, that still continues. That is an issue. We've been working on the positivity. They have a student store. We're buying stuff, to motivate the kids. We're trying incentives. But there are, unfortunately, we have a high number. I don't know how many counselors we have, like 4 or 5. We have a lot of counseling, and still, there's a lot of support at MIT. But unfortunately, I was telling Dr. Baker today, I'm like, I think we need to look at what do we need to do to re-engage students in a different way at MIT? And maybe we need to look at thinking about, it's no longer McKinley student. Everybody has technology nowadays, right? That name came from years ago when it was a magnet school. I think we need to reimagine what can MIT be, and how do we re-engage our kids today, not from yesterday, but today. So I think there's work we need to do to think about how do we create a middle school where we can create that change and have the kids be part of the change. Because I do think if we had a student leader, and they're working on student government right now to have it for next year. So there's things we're trying to put into practice now that haven't been in play, but I do think we need to listen to the students, right? Safety comes because of the fights. And there's a lot of, middle school, I would say 7th grade is our most difficult, challenging grade level right now over there. One of the things I've been working on, and we're trying to bring in someone else to help with us, is to bring in some more supports. And how do we build we have a girl problem, and unfortunately girls like drama. We were all girls at one point, right? All of us women here. Unfortunately, we like drama in middle school, and not gonna lie, it's just part of the makeup, but we need to build up our girls and empower our students to lift up versus put down. And I think that's some of the work we have to do. So we've been, I had our community school coordinator today was meeting with Alejandro Villages to see if their group can help us with lifting up some of these girls that we really need to provide, and some of the boys and our 7th graders, to really help lift the students up and teach them how to problem solve in a different way versus, interacting in the way that they're doing right now. So I think there's a lot of work we have to do and interventions we have to put in to make a change there, so that students do feel safe. And I think one other thing, just to put in, there's a lot of nook and crannies in this school. A lot. And, we have 2 yard duties. We just hired a yard supervisor, and, all the staff, but there have to be sweeps. I mean, there's just a lot of little corners where kids hide. And when you least expect it, they know where the camera doesn't see. So they hide in those areas. Kids are smart. They understand where to look for and how to hide. And so I think it's just about how do we create the system to create the change and give them a reason for it.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't want to create a police system.
No, we don't.
Them to want to be.
Yeah.
That's really helpful. Clearly, there's a lot of thought that's being put into this.
Yeah. I've been sharing my thoughts with Dr. Baker.
I appreciate it. The one last thing, which is actually maybe also a question for you, Anna, but in a different hat, not McKinley hat. Just thinking about the RFEP in our LCAP, I think as looking at, there's a little bit of, it seems like there's vacillations in race that we can see just based on the number of ELs that we have. So I was just thinking, I wonder if in the future LCAPs, nothing to change now, but like in the future LCAPs, if there's a way we can come up with a metric, because I think it's great to think about reclassification, right? That's a good, but somehow normalize that so we're not getting like these weird variations where we're actually making great progress, but just because of where they are in the schedule, like we're not seeing reclassification. So just something for thought.
Good. Thank you. We'll make sure you can be on LCAP next year.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, it's really too bad about the fights in the school environment. I also noted the 43% of MIT students reporting feeling safe at school. So finding some way to crack that nut, to re-engage, reinvent the school is like pretty important. And that's, I appreciate you sharing the not great news about suspension rates going up over the last 2 weeks. I feel like sometimes people feel a temptation when going up in a public forum like this in front of the board to, only shine a spotlight on the things that are going well. And I think it's important that we have honest conversations about what's going well and what's not. I would love some ideas about what we're going to do to make MIT safer for our students, so that we can be a better learning environment. On attendance, 110 chronically absent is obviously not great. I saw that there were 6 home visits, which is obviously a much smaller number than 110. Home visits are a relatively proven intervention. I'm wondering, are there things that we can do to help encourage that and make that lighter weight easier to do so that we can do more home visits? Because that may make an impact on attendance. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I know that our community school coordinator and this is just a TOSA. We do have the CSPP person who does attendance, who had 25 students. Yeah. I know that person has a charge of also making homeschool connections, but it has been inconsistent this year. And again, she just resigned, so I don't have the data to share with you about. But I know they do actual home visits more so than what our TOSA does. Yeah. I think the hard part with middle school attendance is super hard, because at this point in time, when we start, all my team will tell you, I'm a digger. I will go back and see their record, what they were like when they were in kinder. It is a pattern. A lot of our students at McKinley have had a pattern for many years of having chronic absenteeism since kinder. So the sooner we have it in the elementary years and K1, and trying to really get our parents to understand the importance, that does create the trajectory. Because the majority of those students, I can tell you, I've been digging as far back as I can, and it's a pattern of behavior. And when you have that pattern of behavior, it's hard to break because the parents will call in or not call in. And by middle school, kids are making decisions and the parents are allowing them to make those decisions of not attending. Yeah. So it's a really hard And I think that's why we've been focusing on how do we provide incentives to come to school, to be at school, and how do we work with our middle schoolers? It's just a different engagement process than our elementary school students.
That makes sense. And I mean, I hear that, and A, that really sucks. And then B, obviously finding ways to build those patterns early with the student, with their families, so that regular attendance is a thing, and they get in the mode of doing that versus getting in the mode of not doing that early, super important. But then also see what can we do to shift tactics for those middle schoolers where it's not working, they're not coming regularly, and the approaches that we have been using aren't working. That suggests, well, like, should we do something different? More carrots, more sticks, exploring both. The kids need to be at school. The law requires that the kids be at school. And so is there a degree to which, having an officer drop by the kid's home, like,
I can tell you right now.
Okay.
Just because
I'm
we've been
not saying
given
I
that.
have the
Yeah.
answers,
No. What
right?
I'm saying is, I hear you. I totally hear you. I think one of the things that is a struggle for me personally in attendance is for me, my question is, how do we get our parents to understand that every day that a child misses school is a day they're not learning?
Yeah.
And how do we do that at such a young age? And how do we do that with our students who are not attending, who are, when I look at our most chronic absenteeism, I see that this pattern of avoidance, and I've been in SSESP, I've been in SARBs, we've been at the county SARBs, and it's really hard because there isn't anything that we can give a parent to create a change in their child, besides saying, hey, there's this workshop about how to manage your child, right? Because by middle school, they have attitude, they have tendencies, and they've developed this pattern. And it's really about how do we build our resilient parents to know that they have to do this. And so I think that's the hard part at middle school versus an elementary school. And so I hear you. I really am listening. And we have been asked, call the police, do a CPS report. We've done all that, and we've done that from the county. But there is no punishment, nothing for parents. We take them to meetings, change them school. That's what the county tells us. Okay, look at their home address. Oh, that school's better. Have them go to that school. Oh, give them this. I'm like, everything is about us doing. And we do, but then parents also have to help. It's a half missing. I just don't know how to reach out to our middle school parents to make those changes.
So we were at TAF today.
Yes.
And we had a large group of parents because we were talking about the LCAP.
Yep.
And what did the parents tell us?
It's their
We have
job.
got to get these parents to understand why it's so important, number one, to come to school, why it's more important for them to truly understand, even though, like the parents were saying in Spanish, you come to the United States and they say, you can't discipline your kid, but yes, you can discipline your kid in another manner. And so parents need to be the ones that are going to reinforce what needs to happen. And that one parent that really spoke up to us saying, parents are responsible. We are depending on the school to do everything when it has to start at home. So we've got to get the parents really involved. So for us, how do we do that? What is out there that we can do that can really get parents involved and make them understand we are here to do everything educationally possible to get your child to be successful, but we need your support. Especially like that one mom said, yes, we need to do the work at home because you're doing the work at school to make sure they get an education. But if they're coming and they're fooling around, it's the parents' responsibility that should be taking care of that and not necessarily the school site. It was like 10, 15 minutes of that conversation with the parents.
Yeah.
They understand that. But what we need to do is to provide what is that going to look like for them.
And we do have, Patrina, our health and wellness has been reaching out. We have meeting with our families. and really trying to provide some of the online resources that the county provides. One of the things that we're finding really helpful in our our alternative program is we have a wellness coach, and she does one-on-one with families. And so really it has taken her, I would say she started, we hired her in October. We are now in January. It's taken her to about December for families to actually open up. And so about what is the actual need? So she's doing parenting with the family. She does one-on-one with the student. She does one-on-one with the parent, especially because we're talking about teenagers. She's trying to give them to do routines, right? Again, it's a very small group, but the amount of work that goes into it, and we're finding that that's what parents need. They need that connection, and kids need relationships. I think the number one predictor of attendance is relationships. Sure. They have to have a caring adult, but if they're not at school, how are they going to build that caring adult when we have students who haven't come to school since day one? And that's the problem. And we have students who come, one day here, one day there, one day here, right? So we're trying to catch them up, but the problem is there's too many. As a district, we have 1,000. McKinley only has 110, but as a district, we have 1,000 kids chronically absent. And so our TOSAs are doing a lot of the work, but it's a lot of tedious work and it's very slow. But I do think we're looking at how do we keep our wellness coach next year to really, how do we bridge that to make sure there's an outreach to parents? Because I think the parents need an outlet to help support and figure out how to do that. We don't have enough of that either, right? So it's something we need to be able to build with our attendants so that we can build those relationships and help create the system so that the parents can help create the change. But it's a lot of work because some of these kids have avoidance, parents have issues, and sometimes counseling the parent, counseling the student, right? It's a lot of work and it takes a lot. We are seeing kids, though, starting to re-engage from those practices, but it's taken us from October till now to see those benefits. So it's a long, tedious road. So I do think we want to keep her. We're trying to figure out how to keep her to do some more of this parenting outreach for next year.
Thank you for the candid discussion. Just last question, this one's quick. On reclassification, previously, there had been some blockers around just having enough testing volunteers and staff. Is that a factor at all still, or are we? No. Okay, great. Sweet. Thank you. Told you that one would be easy. Dr. Baker?
I'm just going to be really short because we still have Hoover and we have to do a check-in also, according to policy, right at 9 o'clock to go, or is it 10? Okay, 10. Just a quick check-in. The interventions, that is going to be really critical. So however we can put those into place, you don't really see interventions at middle school. So,
yeah, I'm working on it. I'm looking for things and my team is looking for things. So we're really trying to figure out what we can put in place. Many of the interventions that I've seen are usually a year long, not like a semester. What they've said to me is in order for middle schoolers to break a habit, they have to be in it for the long run. And so that's kind of hard when you're in trying to be in an intervention class all year. But that is what the studies are finding, especially at middle school. So trying to find something that'll be lasting.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And now we have who? Oh, that's right.
No, it's an action.
Very good.
I'll make a motion to approve McKinley SIPSEP.
Trustee Wells. All those in favor? All right. Motion passes. And now on for Hoover.
Got my pencil. There we go. All right. Good evening, everyone. President Daly. Sorry, it's late. President Weekly. You know this is way past my bedtime, right? Because I get up like at 5 a.m.
She goes to bed.
Good night, everyone. Thank you, everybody, for the opportunity to speak to you. Thank you to our city for supporting us, and of course to our Hoover family. Tonight, we're going to highlight our work aligned to LCAP goals 1, 2, and 3 with a quick look at data and, more importantly, the systems and supports behind the improvement. So let's see. you want to click for me? So we just, you're all familiar with LCAP 1, so I'm not going to go through it again. But at Hoover, we've been very intentional about strengthening our Tier 1 supports for our students and tightening Tier 2 and 3 systems for students who need more. So thank you. Over the past 3 years, Hoover has made significant progress on the California dashboard. In 22-23 and 23-24, we had several indicators in red, including ELA, English learners, and student subgroups. Through targeted supports and a strong focus on instruction and systems, our 24-25 dashboard shows no indicators in red. ELA math and ELA progress moved into orange. Chronic absenteeism improved to yellow, and suspension rates are at blue. As a result, Hoover exited ATCI status, which reflects the collaborative work of our staff and our continued focus on improvement. Attendance at Hoover continues to show positive improvement. Our attendance rate increased from 91.7% in the base year to 92.6% last year, and our mid-year rate this year is 93.7%. Chronic absenteeism, which we've talked a lot about today, is also showing strong improvement. Our rate decreased from 28.5% in our base year to 21.7% last year, and our mid-year rate is now at 17.4%, which puts us on track towards our targets. So I will try not to speed through this, but it's a lot, and we're all tired. So many of our students with a high number of adverse childhood experiences face the greatest challenges getting to school consistently. We also recognize that many of our families are navigating real barriers to attendance, especially transportation and distance. For example, a number of our families live on the other side of the freeway or on the other side of the tracks over by Target, including the Haas area, and many don't have cars. So they have to walk to school. And there is no direct safe route for them to get to Hoover. Additionally, we also have a number of kids who are riding bikes and scooters and other forms of electric vehicles to our school in heavily trafficked areas, which raises a lot of safety concerns. We've already had 2 kids hit by cars this year. And in addition, recent reports of ice in the area have really impacted the attendance of some of our families. How are we addressing all of this in practice? Well, our MTSS TOSA is now spending about 70% of his time. We had to reallocate his time to focus on attendance and systems. And our Dean of Students works with 20 families per cycle. So he intentionally targets specific families. Our team holds regular CESPs and SST meetings with families to review patterns, set goals, and create intervention plans. Our Dean of Students and our Community School Coordinator work with our highest need students to develop Tier 3 support plans, including home visits and coordination with partners for wraparound services. We also leverage the many services that our family centers has. Our family center is a real hub in our community and a trusted place that connects our families to supports. And our families can receive access to community resources and partners who help them with food, clothing, uniforms, housing navigation, support with forms and technology, parent education, immigration supports, emotional and mental health supports, after-school program information, crisis intervention, academic support, and so much more. So we're pairing accountability with care through intake with families, weekly check-ins with students, and smart attendance goals that are monitored and revisited as needed. Someone hand it over.
Our suspension data shows significant improvement across all student groups. For example, the suspension rate for all students decreased from 4.8% to 1.9% last year, with similar reductions amongst English language learners, students with disabilities, and other subgroups. This progress reflects our strong focus on restorative justice practices as we address conflicts through restorative conferences, conflict mediation, and skill building rather than exclusion. By focusing on repairing the harm, strengthening relationships, and teaching students strategies for resolving conflict, we are creating a more supportive school climate while keeping students engaged in learning. For next year, we will expand restorative justice practices by training by providing additional staff training in restorative conferences and circles and building staff capacity so all teachers feel confident facilitating restorative conferences. Increase student leadership in restorative justice practices in partnership with the organization Community Matters by developing student peer mediators to help resolve minor conflicts and teach students conflict resolution and self-regulation strategies. Suspensions are down because we're addressing issues earlier and teaching the skills students need to stay engaged in learning. We're consistent with PBIS, Wayfinder SEL, and restorative justice practices. We address small issues right away through restorative conferences, counseling, or mediation, and reteaching expectations. We start every day with the SEL check-in and teach weekly SEL lessons with a scope and sequence for the entire year. Our school climate committee reviews behavior data and plans activities and assemblies that build belonging, reinforce expectations, and celebrate students. Our mid-year suspension rate is at 0.3%. Next steps are to tighten Tier 2 supports, strengthen CESP follow-through, and staying consistent with PBIS and Wayfinder curriculum while reviewing data more frequently so we can respond quickly. Bottom line, early intervention plus targeted supports equals stronger attendance and more learning time, and it improves school climate overall.
We're now moving to information on LCAP Goal 2. In regards to English learner progress, we are seeing encouraging growth. As indicated, the percentage of students increasing at least one LPAC level grew from 35.4% to 40.5%, showing progress toward our goal. Our LTEL rate decreased from 11.4 to 9%, which reflects improvement in supporting our long-term English learners. Our reclassification rate is 8%, so we recognize that is clearly an area for us to focus on and improve upon as we move forward, which is our plan. In terms of our takeaways for English learners, we're improving progress by sharpening what is happening with our Tier 1 practices in every classroom, while also increasing targeted supports for students who need more. And this is how we are doing this. We're being consistent with the implementation of designated and integrated ELD across TK to 8 with a strong focus on academic language, writing, and integrating high leverage EL strategies. As some of the other schools mentioned, our teachers are as well getting support from Dr. S, and we're seeing some of the impact that is happening with our students. And again, just, really focusing with her support on improving with our and working to support our English learners with the strategies that she is introducing to our teachers. We're supporting teachers through coaching and the PLC inquiry cycles using SMART goals. They're having time to analyze student work and common expectations and rubrics. So what we're doing is we're calibrating amongst the grade level teams on what proficiency looks like. And then in doing that, they're refining instruction to increase language production. Our students need a lot of practice with academic language and being able to speak in academic terms, and again, just being able to speak in response to some of the questions that's being posed to them, both by the teacher and also from text. So we're also providing targeted support such as small groups in literacy and math. We also have newcomer supports in grades 3 to 8, intervention time. We also have push-in, pull-out support as available. Our next steps are going to be very specific. We will be focusing on strengthening the reclassification pipeline. So our plan is to identify students who are really close to that reclassification criteria, monitoring them very closely, and then being very intentional in targeting the instruction to the skills that the students need specifically so that we can help move them forward into being reclassified. We are also planning, focusing on intensifying support in grades 6 to 8 to more consistent small group instruction and progress monitoring. We are strengthening Tier 1 ELD consistency school-wide through coaching, shared language routines, and continued PLC calibration. So again, our focus is, our bottom line is focusing on consistency school-wide with that integration of ELD, and targeted supports for students closest to reclassification criteria, and continued middle school small group support. We realize that the students, they're we're focusing on building that Tier 1 instruction for them, but they also, even in middle school, need that small group support, that individualized attention. So we are implementing that as well for them.
Sorry. No. There we go. Technical difficulties. So now let's talk about goal number 3. So do you want to? Thank you. Okay, starting with iReady reading, we see a clear shift from fall to winter. Students at grade level increased from 9 to 15%. Students at 1-year grade level increased from 18 to 28%, and students 2 or more grade levels below decreased from 73 to 57%. Now, here's one important thing that we really need to look at is some of our students start 2 and in many cases 3 or more years below grade level. So even when they're making strong growth, they will still fall under the 2 or more, the 2-year band. So the growth is real, but it doesn't always show up as dramatically in the band distribution until students cross that cut point. Our already expected growth is 4% annual increase, and we're showing improvement from 44.9%. Our base to 59.6 mid-year. So even when students are still not yet at grade level, we are seeing measurable growth in skills. Let's move on to math. Similar story in math. Students at grade level increased from 5 to 8%. Students 1 year below grade level increased from 21 to 39%, and students from 2 years or more below grade level decreased from 74% to 53%. In math, as expected, in math, we improved from 31.6% base to 49.3 mid-year. And even when students are not yet at grade level, we are seeing measurable growth in skills, and we're pairing the growth work with accelerated strategies. With our English learners, which is, we have a large percentage of students that are English learners. We see that in ELA, students meeting and exceeding grade level increased from 4.8% to 6.1%. And in math, the percentage is 5.7 to 7.2%. This movement is in the right direction, and we're also clear that there's a lot of work to do. So, to strengthen academic achievement in language arts and math, and I say language arts because we have a bilingual strand, and a lot of our kiddos are learning Spanish first and transition in 3rd grade to, but by 4th grade, they're in full English. So there is definitely, an effect to there. We're focusing on strong tier 1 instruction using consistent PLC and data cycles to guide the reteaching, enrichment, and targeted small group support. Our PLC work is centered on SMART goals and writing across the curriculum using common rubrics and student work analysis. So expectations stay consistent from classroom to classroom and from subject area to subject area in middle school, because everyone, regardless of their subject area, is focused on math, science, social studies, even music is helping us out. A big reason we're able to do this consistency is the funding for guest teachers. So we have 2 guest teachers that have been instrumental in help stepping into classrooms while our teachers are collaborating. So the beauty of our guest teachers is that they plan the lessons while the teachers are out, so teachers don't have to create lesson plans to leave behind. And our guest teachers are also coming in with enrichment activities. So they are doing STEAM activities, art activities, or an enrichment activity around something that the teachers are already doing in class, especially around our ELA and social studies and science units. As I was saying, this collaboration with teachers has been vital in building strong PLC culture and increasing teacher efficacy and ensuring that the work actually translates into strong instruction in the classroom. Oftentimes, we do have PD, but we don't have the time to really unpack it and collaborate with our grade level partners. And so it makes it that much harder to take it into the classroom. We're also expanding targeted supports for students below grade level through intervention blocks, specialist supports, and after-school tutoring. And middle school math, we're also supporting our students in 2 very clear ways. This year, thank you, we have an accelerated pathway, including a double math period in grade 8 for our students on the advanced track, and also intervention small groups during TIG time to fill foundational gaps and increase access to grade level standards. Our next steps are as we begin, our next steps are keeping our PLC cycles tight with clear targets, common assessments, and progress checks, prioritizing students who are 3 or more years below grade level with protected intervention time aligned to skill gaps. So one of the things that we've been doing for the last couple of years, and we really strengthened this year, is that we circle, like we do for ELD, we circle for foundational skills in the primary grades to really target our student needs. So we have our reading specialist as part of the cycle, our RLC teachers as part of the cycle, and then the grade levels will divide the kids by ability so that if they need, foundational skills, phonics, they get that. If they need enrichment, or let's work on some critical thinking around reading comprehension, then we're able to differentiate instruction in that way. Also, we're increasing daily opportunities for academic discourse and writing to learn across content areas. Dr. Sagilan has been instrumental in supporting us with designated and integrated ELD. And of course, our wonderful coaches, our district coaches are working collaboratively with our teachers and with admin on supporting us in making sure that our teachers have the support and the in-classroom coaching to bring these skills to the classroom. And then again, like I said, continuing coaching and shared practices so growth translates into student proficiency. So the bottom line is strong tier 1 instruction plus consistent PLC cycles plus protected targeted instruction equals more students at grade level, reduce subgroup gaps, and acceleration for students ready for advanced math. And any questions?
Thank you.
I know that was a lot. That was a mouthful.
Thank you. Thank you all for presenting tonight. I'm going to try and stay brief, so don't take that as a lack of interest. It's being trying to be considerate for the thing. Growth. It's great to see the growth that's happening there. The work on the driving suspensions to almost zero. It looked like it was very low. Chronic absenteeism work that's been outstanding, and awesome growth in ELA and math from the iReady indicators. It's just really impressive, like beating all the targets. Obviously you want to get the kids to proficiency, but you can't get there without like starting from the growth. So that's really, really important to see. So thanks for coming and sharing that. Some of the challenges that you're facing there, particularly with kids being able to get to school and the transportation issues. That's important to hear. So, but yeah, no, Hoover is like, it's a community hub. It really is a school where, all our schools are hubs for their families that are there, but Hoover particularly so, as a community school, as just a hub for that. It's a great community that's going on at Hoover, and so it's nice to see the metrics also aligning with that. Thanks for all the work you do, and all your staff and everybody online, and our friends that are here from Hoover as well. Thanks.
Shout out to all my Hoover Huskies. You're amazing. This is all you people.
Oh, yeah, I'll also just say, I think all the same stuff. Everything's going up. That's great. Things that are going up that we want to go up are going up. The things that we want to go down are going down, which is great. Importantly, that some of the stuff that doesn't show up so much in the numbers, but also really appreciated is just the obvious school climate that you're able to cultivate. Some of that is in like the surveys, but also I'll admit, even every time I get one of the emails with the husky paw prints, makes me feel a little bit warm inside. But obviously it's because you're able to cultivate this atmosphere among both families and staff where people really feel bought in. And so really appreciate that. And like Mike, trying to keep it quick, not because of underinvestment, but just
please.
Thank you for the presentation. I just had I really like the idea of the reclassification pipeline. I was just curious, do the kids know that they're kind of being chosen for that? And then if there's space, can kids kind of opt into that, or?
So this is something we're exploring. We have a fabulous new ELD teacher / newcomer teacher. Shout out to Miss Krista Kelly, who is really bringing innovative ideas and working collaboratively with all of us. And she is working with us with data and bringing her experience from other sites and really helping us target our students with strategies that she has found very effective. God, sorry, my brain. And then also Ms. Lucero has been very helpful with us, who is our ELD coach. Do you want to add anything? I see she wants to jump in and say something. Go for it.
I think one of the great things that Ms. Kelly has done is really stress the importance. I think one of the other principals may have mentioned this, stress the importance to the 8th graders about how this is going to impact them at their high school stage. And so I think we got a lot more buy-in this year. So we were really happy to see that from the 8th graders. We could tell that they were putting a lot more emphasis and really focused on doing their best instead of just sort of going through the motions of, it's just another test. Here I go. I'm done. They really took their time, and their responses were much, just from what we could see at a distance, their responses were much more lengthy than we had previously have seen in other work that they're producing. So it looks real positive.
And also for our LTELs, I think that the collaboration in the middle school is really unique and special. They genuinely like each other and like working with each other. And I think that's really important because they're creating a really nice environment for our students, and they're cheering each other on. And how can I help you in my class? What can I do here? What can I do there? And I'm really excited to see how that unfolds.
Great to hear. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. I don't have any questions other than, kudos to everyone for all their support and, moving the needle forward. So thank you so much.
It's getting late. don't want to draw things out. It sounds like there's some real problems on the transportation side. So outside of this meeting, I would love to hear some thoughts about like, what are our options? What can we do there? Like, it's awful. We get having kids hit by cars trying to get into school. I'd love to bring some
On the way to school.
on the, yeah. So yeah, let's have a separate session about that. And just to get some of your ideas on what we could do there, how we could work with the county, et cetera. The growth data is awesome. I think your school may have the highest in the district in terms of percentage of students that met or achieved their growth goals. So yeah, I think you might be top of the leaderboard.
Go Huskies, family.
Wonderful to see the acceleration options in math, so I think that's great that you're taking care of the full spectrum of students that you have there. So bravo.
Thank you.
Dr. Baker.
Thank you, the three of you, Lupe, Denora, and Carmen. Thank you so much, and the staff for all that you're doing for our students. The one thing that I wanted to ask you, you put together a plan in where you have the collaboration among your grade levels. Are you still planning on doing that next year? Because I think that's really important with your grade levels, that they meet together, they plan together. There's some peer coaching in there. Is that still going to be
That's a bit of a challenge because right now we will have a 0.5 guest teacher funded, and we can fund another 0.5 at least. We might be able to fund a full guest teacher and plus the full-time, plus the part-time one that the district will provide. So we're gonna have to get creative on how we are able to fund that extra person, because right now what we're doing is we have the two full-time teachers, and then once a week we fund a substitute for that extra day, because we have grade levels that have 2 teachers and we have grade levels that have 3 teachers. So it's complicated because we have to make sure that the grade levels that have 3 teachers all meet on the same day, so we can use that one extra sub. So it will be challenging, but we'll figure it out.
It seems like it's a really good strategy that you've come up with, and with that plan that you created.
It's working.
The other piece is just to maybe talk to RCEF.
Yeah, we also want to fund our STEAM teacher because parents really want the STEAM teacher and the music teacher. And so, it's the give and the take. So hopefully this parcel tax passes and then we won't have to worry about this. Redwood City community, are you hearing that?
Nice shadow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And because I didn't forget on the third one, would someone like to move to approve the SIPSF?
I move to approve the SIPSF.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hurrah!
Thank you very much. And apologies for saying the wrong name. I claim it on the time.
You wouldn't be the first, interestingly.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right. Now our other consent items, including things like approving past meeting minutes, contract agreements, and our school accountability report cards. Would somebody like to move that we approve the consent items?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Passes unanimously. All right. Board and superintendent reports. Who's got something they want to report?
I go first. A few weeks ago, along with Trustee Marquez and Superintendent Baker, was able to attend a meeting hosted by the county regarding some VLF concerns and potential legislation. It was good to hear some of the financial difficulties that the county's facing and some of their potential solutions. I think there was definitely at some point discussions about solving it through basic aid funded districts and there be additional funding on top of LCFF, but it seems like that has been effectively squashed just through a better understanding of the impact that would have on our schools. So it was good to hear that is what took place, and that's kind of where we still are now. And I understand there's still some ongoing committee meetings, so still not. We're still keeping tabs on that, but it was good to hear that there was the collaboration. Also had maybe 1-2 board policy meetings, so you guys will continue to see the fruit of that labor. Earlier the week, attended the health and wellness meeting, which was really interesting. As always, it's nice to hear from the students and their observations. Importantly, they talked a little bit about the perceptions about school climate at a bunch of different schools, and it was just interesting to hear their thoughts and some suggestions that popped up. and schools and district staff was on, so I'm sure it's something to chew on. And then also got some updates on the dental program, which sounds like there's a lot of great work that's been happening at a lot of our schools. And then yesterday had the 2x2x2, which was great. We from Redwood City discussed the parcel tax being on the ballot, as well as our incoming superintendent. Heard some general updates from Sequoia regarding their upcoming bond construction initiatives, the recent closure or decision to close Tide, and then some AI decisions that they've made, which is exciting. And then the city discussed, and this is maybe pertinent to what we just heard, some initiatives on their end on e-bike regulations that they're thinking of. And I think there are a bunch of different folks who are obviously looking at this, including the county. So they're working collaboratively with the county on trying to get some consistency there. Obviously, yeah, this is like the worst case scenario for certainly from our perspective. Like we need to make sure that folks are safe, and that's both students being safe as well as ensuring that there's infrastructure to allow for safe passageways. So it's good to hear that they're working on that. That'll be an ongoing effort. And then they also talked about the Mills Act, which it sounds like the city council took seriously some of the input that was provided at one of their meetings. And so I think city council is, I think they're putting a pause on contracts being approved this year. And then they're going through an active evaluation process of the program at large. And I think the next reporting out will be in 6 months on kind of what the city comes up with and evaluating the program.
A member of our board might have given public comment that influenced that outcome. Thank you.
We thank our board.
Yep, I also attended the health and wellness meeting. It was good to hear actually how much potential money the counseling billing was going to bring in, but I was curious on whether we have enough people to do the paperwork and all that stuff, or how that's going to work, but we can talk about that kind of later. And then had a casual conversation with Rocket Ship where they gave a nice shout out to Rick and Martin for being good partners. So thank you.
And for me, I attended last week along with Dr. Baker, the Superintendent Advisory Committee, the English portion. I did not go to the Spanish. And I totally just went blank as to what we talked about. So I'm going to let you cover that topic. And then I was, as part of the San Mateo Schools Board Association, I'm part of the Kent Award Committee. And so just wanted to, again, give you guys a heads up. Again, mark your calendars. May 8th is the celebration. And I will go ahead and send you emails when we need your help, because we are going to need county-wide help, of course, right, to make this happen. But I will keep you guys posted. And then just on another note, the Oye Youth Conference is coming up March 28th, Saturday. Yeah. We do need volunteers for that too. So I'll send you guys more information on that. So just wanted to keep you guys posted.
Sweet.
Thank you.
I don't know.
Great. Yeah. I've been reaching out to PTO leadership and parent leadership to just go and get to know them and connect with them. I've also suggested having a periodic gathering of all the PTO presidents. Apparently, that's a thing that other districts do. So the board president and the PTO presidents all get together periodically, and that's generally viewed as a positive thing. So we may be trying to nudge to make that happen. Had a lovely visit with Melissa at Roy Cloud. Noted that some of the carpets are in pretty poor condition, could use replacing with tile. Not very expensive, but pretty good return if we're able to do that with some of our Measure S funds. The playground also is getting a little bit long in the tooth and probably could use replacing. It was not the only site at which I also noticed that construction around creating the new solar paneling was really messing up parking logistics. Like she had handled it with grace, somehow losing like the majority of her available parking, and they still made things work. I managed to grab her parking spot when I came in to visit with her. But just, I hadn't realized the degree to which solar construction was going to really shut down parking at a bunch of these different places. Taft was another of the sites that was impacted by this. So we just need to make sure that the construction proceeds apace so that they don't end up losing their parking slots for an extended period of time. And then there was also just a comment about wanting to make sure that principals have some degree of autonomy and control over placement of aides in classroom versus it just being district directed. Cool.
Items were mentioned previously. The superintendent's committee, advisory committee, Anna presented the LCAP. And today we did the Spanish one, and we were at Taft, and we had a good group of parents there. Dr. Rubacalba was with us also, and so the parents got to meet him, and it was a good discussion. I mean, these parents were like, "You need to put some of this responsibility back on the parents," and we're trying to. How can we do that, and what can we do to? Who's out there that can help us support that, an outside entity that could come in, and what parents can do to really support their children, and so that the schools do the education piece and they're there to really support. Anna and I have been very busy at working different situations at McKinley, and it's really it's a challenge, and we do have parents that don't even pick up the phones and want to talk to us, or don't even want to come to the meetings. And it was just like these parents said this morning, parents need to take on the parenting. You guys cannot be doing that. So it's a challenge, but we're going to get there. We've got to crack this nut, because thank you, Evelyn, for making all those phone calls and trying to help us. But we're all in it. But we need to, reverse this. You just you can't give up on your children. We understand that, some parents have, and now they're living with an aunt or an uncle, and the aunt and uncle have said, I'm done. We just need to find a way to crack that nut and get the support we need so that we can get them back involved. So it's too bad we have to entertain what we're looking at right now, because it's really sad to hear that what they're telling us. But we're going to continue on with it and see what we can do. So it's something that I will be talking to other colleagues and seeing if they have some type of a method, or they've reached out to an outside entity that can help them with a situation like we're having right now, where parents have just given up on their kids, and then the kids feel it. And so I get it. And coming out down hard on them and having the police handcuff them is like, oh my gosh. That doesn't help. But we're going to get there, and we're going to see what we can do to move this forward, and be more positive and get those parents and guardians more involved. That's it for us. But it's been eye-opening and also very frustrating and really hurtful to see what we are experiencing and what they are experiencing.
I will note it's 10 o'clock. Board policy requires the board to agree to continue meeting after 10. So just, I think it's 10:30.
I looked it up. Yeah, 10:30.
Thank you. Okay. And we will be done by 10:30, team. All right. Thank you. Gosh, it's great to have such great policy people on board. Okay. Information. This is just an item where we review how the county is managing the district's cash. Generally pretty low risk and modest returns. In January, we earned 4.04% on our cash. Not much else to review here. Rick, thumbs up. Yeah, thumbs up. Okay, great. Correspondence. Correspondence? Any correspondence to report? No. All right. Other business. Future items for business. Just as a reminder for members of the public, if you're curious about what we're going to talk about in the future, the PDF attachment on this one, agenda item 15, will show you what we're going to talk about when. All right. No other business to suggest? No. Okay. Reflection. Ooh, Mr. Lee. Say it.
My understanding is, well, I don't know if this needs to be a topic per se, but we are just understanding our current enrollment situation with MIT. Are there any decisions that have to be made at this point, or that we need to be evaluating before the year end?
We will need to be evaluating something before the year ends. Yes.
Okay.
That will be agendized, and we should be discussed before the end of the year.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Anything else? All right. Reflection.
Mike stole my thunder earlier, but really thought that the SIPSA or the school's presentations were super, super clear, and I think allowed us to have pretty rich discussion in advance. I think we all did our homework read. So I just really appreciate that. Other things, I appreciate you keeping all the public speakers on time. It's what happens. I did actually think about this right before we made the decision, though, that we were probably going to get past the 10 people.
That's why I was kind of checking in. Just,
it's a risk, but otherwise, that's all.
Do we count the our 10? Do we count our online speaker cards
Yeah.
too as part
Yeah.
of the 10?
Yeah, they should.
Because then we would have already.
I
had
think,
10.
yeah, you missed those.
You
counted 8 and there were
there were 2 filed at that
Yeah.
time. That would have taken us to 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Finding for next time. All right. Thank you. This is good. This is why we reflect. We learn.
I 3 school presentations might be unfair to the principals because they all stay that late unless we can really hone in on that 30-minute cap, and like we have to like allocate time for ourselves of like how much time are we